Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Awaken the Legendary Wielder and Become Dragon Slayer Part 3. Before we start, please go support Dragongod Astaroth for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. Chapter 5, The Red Dragon and a Fox. Kuo Academy, Orc Building, 4:30 PM. A day after Issei's fight with Siegfried. Ryazpov. It's been a bit over a month since my adorable pawn Issei left to go train in order to get stronger, as well as trying to tone down his pervertedness, and since then things have been mostly quiet, besides the occasional stray devil hunts. When the news reached Issei's class that he was going away for a month to stop being a pervert anymore, it supposedly became an uproar, since they couldn't believe the most perverted out of the perverted trio was going to stop being a pervert, which I could understand their shock, since both me and my peerage were quite surprised as well when he said he was going to stop being a pervert. Though I've heard from both Asia and Kaneko that his two friends were probably gonna start some fake rumors about Issei that were going to be even more perverted than before, as well as even go as far as saying that Issei and Kiba are secretly a gay couple, in which I sigh in annoyance on why I even hang out with those two in the first place. But if I'm being honest, it's secretly been hard for me since Issei left. Ever since Issei left to go train, it's been so hard for me to go to sleep at night without him at my side. I would even try sleeping in his room, but sadly no such luck, since I would just keep turning in his bed without hardly getting any form of rest. My devil instincts were practically screaming at me to just hurry up and just summon him back to my side, so I cuddled up next to him, but I remember why he left in the first place, and that was to get stronger in order to protect me. So I had to struggle to resist my urges, but each time I kept on hearing a copy of my voice screaming at me to hurry up and summon him so I could cuddle him. Things only got worse last night when me and my peerage decided to have a meeting at Issei's while the orc was doing its annual cleaning, and Kiba saw a picture of Issei next to a holy sword, which had me concerned, in which later that night when we were called to kill a stray devil, which resulted in Kaneko getting damaged cause Kiba wasn't paying attention. I of course lapped him in hopes he would get his head and hopefully talk to me. But he told me to not worry about it and that he was fine. It was then I really wished that Issei was here, since he would probably be the best person out of all of us to talk to Kiba. Of course, that same night me and Asia arrived back home only to see two nuns with holy swords there waiting, since it turned out that one of the girls was actually a childhood friend of Issei, which surprised me and Asia. When they left, the girl who was Issei's childhood friend was giving me a nasty glare, which confused me even more. Currently it's the next day and I'm in the club room with my peerage, with the exception of Kiba and Issei talking to the nuns to discuss why they were in my territory. The first girl was a beautiful young woman with violet eyes. She has long chestnut hair that is usually tied into twintails, each held with a blue scrunchie. The second was a young woman with chin-length blue hair with a dyed green fringe on the right side and brown eyes. Both of them were wearing a church battle suit, which consists of a black, skin-tight, short-sleeved leotard with pauldrons, matching fingerless gloves that extend to her biceps, and thigh-high boots, all of which are adorned with straps. This attire is worn under a white hooded cloak with gold and blue accents. She also wears a crucifix around her neck. Zenovia Sirius, thank you for speaking with us today. My name is Zenovia Sirius and I'm Irina Shidu, but before we start I have just one burning question. Ria's curious. Oh? That is? Irina glares while pointing. What have you done to Ice-kun? Zenovia Sirius. Irina, we don't have time for. Irina pouts. No, Zenovia. It was already bad enough that I haven't seen him in 10 years, but then I found out you met him while we were in Kyoto with two beautiful girls. Then as soon as we reached his home we found out that he's gone for a month and that his home is infested with devils. Ria's and her peerage shocked. Issei is in Kyoto. That information shocked me and peerage, since I thought he would be training in a forest just outside of Kuo. But to find out he's actually in Kyoto did sting me a bit, since it could have meant that he lied to me. Then the info that he was being accompanied by two women, which for some reason made my heart tighten, as well as upsetting me for some unknown reason. It was then decided if I could extract some information from these two to see why my Issei-kun was in Kyoto and maybe figure out who those women were. Ria's Sirius, may I ask why you're so motivated to find Issei? Zenovia Sirius, and why is it any of your concern? Ria smirks, because he's actually my adorable pawn and is a part of my peerage family. Zenovia. Irina shocked. What? Ria smirks. Yes, so I would like to know why my Issei is in Kyoto, since, even though I gave him permission to leave me for a while in order to train, I didn't say he could leave Kuo. I don't know who these women are, so if you could please who is with him, that would be much appreciated. Zenovia Sirius. I see. It's honestly a shame that a powerful and handsome person such as Issei is on the devil's side, since I was hoping that after our mission, we could invite him and his companions to join the church. At that comment my anger was practically boiling, since it sounded like this girl wanted to get closer to my Issei. Ria's mind jealous. Who are you calling handsome? Issei is mine, and if you think you could snatch him away from me just like that, then you're dead wrong. Zenovia Sirius. I sadly don't know much since our interaction was brief, but he said he had an urgent errand to attend to. He was surprisingly very kind and radiated an aura of comfort and safety, which out of all the devils I've met none give off such an aura. Ria's mind curious and errand. What's in Kyoto that Issei needed to postpone coming back to me? Ice just what are doing? Irina trembling with anger I knew it. Ria's confused Knew what? Irina annoyed while pointing at Ria's you were after his voice. Ria's confused his voice. Irina annoyed while pouting that's right you heard Ice-kun singing and decided to drag him into hell so that you could have it to yourself. Ria's in her peerage. Beyond shocked Issei can't sing. Irina saddened while shedding a tear that's right, Ice-kun had a voice that can only be described as divine, it was like he was gifted by God himself. This completely shocked both me and my peerage because none of us knew that Issei could actually sing. None of us haven't seen him even try singing a lyric, this made me wonder what other secrets Issei was possibly hiding from me, as well as if possible that when he came back he would sing for me. Zenobia serious Irina that's enough. We don't have time to act spoiled children, remember the mission. Irina growls huffs in annoyance fine. Zenobia sighs please forgive me for my partner's outburst since as you could see she's very fond of Issei and of course, when she found out that her hometown was being run by the devils, she of course became concerned for the first boy she ever. Irina embarrassed while covering Zenobia's mouth, you don't need to say anything Zenobia. Ria's mind jealous for Satan's sake another girl is trying to get close to my Issei. Asia was one thing cause I hoped he would eventually see her as just a little sister, but now this girl thinks she will come into my territory and take my Issei away from me. Annoyed it seems that I'm going to have a little talk with Issei when gets back for attracting so many women. Zenobia serious anyway back to the business at hand. Ria's serious of course, so please why followers of God would want to meet with a devil. Irina serious here's the gist of it, there's 6 Excalibur fragments that we can account for. 3 of them are still with the church, but the other 3 were stolen by fallen angels. Ria's and her peerage gasped. Zenobia serious these swords are from the ones we have left. This one is mine, it's called the Sword of Destruction. Irina points to ribbon this is the holy sword of mimicry. Ria smirks well what is it that you would like us to do for you today? Zenobia serious stay completely out of it, this is between us and the fallen angels. Let's keep it simple shall we? We don't need the devils in this town to intervene. Ria smirks that sounds like an accusation. Are you afraid that we'll side with the fallen angels and keep you away from the holy swords? Zenobia smirks we know that for devils a holy sword is a detestable thing, wouldn't it make more sense for you to support the fallen angels? As if on cue Ria's eyes started glowing red and she raised her demonic power, signifying that she was annoyed that this girl dared accuse her of foul play without real proof. Zenobia serious if that's true we will have no choice but to completely annihilate you, even though you are the great devil's sister. Ria smirks if you already have me figured out then let me share something with you. There is no way I'd even think of joining the fallen angels, I would never do anything to besmirch the name of the house of Gremory or my dear brother. Zenobia smirks HMPH it's enough for me just to be able to hear that. I was only relaying the thoughts of headquarters. I honestly didn't think the little sister of Lucifer would really be that stupid. Ria smirks good to know, then I hope you also understand that I will not provide aid to your side either. Zenobia serious of course, I trust that we will prevail if you promise not to intervene in anything we may do in this town. Ria smirks you have my word on that. Zenobia serious we won't take up any more of your time. Ria smirks would you like some tea before you go? Zenobia serious no thanks, I'm not here to make friends with devils. We'll let ourselves out. As I saw both Zenobia and Irina about to walk towards the door, Zenobia and began glancing over to my peerage more specifically Asia, which had me worried on why she was looking at her with extra distaste and disgust. Zenobia serious I was wondering if visiting the home of Issei Haidu would lead us to you. Asia confused Zenobia serious aren't you Asia Argento? Asia nervous yes. Zenobia serious it would make sense that I would run into a witch in a place like this. Irina serious it is you're the former saint who became a witch. I had heard that you were banished because you had the power to heal fallen angels and devils and that one time you actually used it. You must be pretty strong, I didn't know you'd actually become a devil yourself. As I saw Asia became a bit distraught and scared of being reminded of her past of being saint and how casted out and being called a witch without a fair way to defend herself. It was at that moment I really wished that Issei was here to protect her. Asia nervous well Zenobia serious do you still believe in our God, Asia? Irina serious don't be silly, she's a devil. She's over us. Zenobia serious no, that doesn't always mean what you think it does, there are those whose hearts continue to remain pious in the midst of their own selfish betrayal. She seems like she might be one of them. Irina. Curious really. Is it true Asia, do you still believe in God? I mean I know you're like a devil, but do you? Asia saddened while shedding a single tear yes, I've never been able to let go. I believed in God this whole time. Zenobia serious then you should allow us to execute you this instant. Though you have sinned in the worst way possible, if you sacrifice your soul to him he will forgive you. Let yourself be convicted by my hand, God will work through me to save you. Ria's serious, would you mind stopping there please? There is no need for you to be shaming my servant in that way. Zenobia serious, I wasn't shaming her senselessly as one of God's servants. I feel it is my duty to rescue her soul. I feel my anger start slowly boiling because of the fact that this girl dared to mock Asia, who I saw as a little sister. Part of me wondered what Issei would do in this situation. No doubt he would get up Zenobia's face and try to mouth her off that they didn't to talk like that, Asia, but sadly he's not here to do so, and I can't do anything else, especially if the church thinks I was being hostile to two holy sword wielders, it can lead to a conflict with the church. But before I could try to defuse the situation, Kiba, who somehow entered without any of us noticing, glaring daggers at Irina and Zenobia. Kiba serious, if you're done talking then I'll gladly take you on. Ria surprised Kiba. Zenobia. Curious, and who are you supposed to be? Kiba serious, your superior, but I was deemed a failure. Scene change. Outside Orc building. After Kiba made his appearance in the Orc, he then challenged both Zenobia and Irina, in which I tried to order him to not go through with it, but he ignored my order and was persistent on taking them both on, in which both Zenobia and Irina weren't helping, since they didn't mind putting Kiba in his place. As a result, it was decided that the battle would be an informal bout and not an official battle, since none of us wanted to get into trouble with the higher-ups in our respective factions. To be honest, I mentally thank Satan that Issei wasn't here, because his perverted thoughts would have gone wild if he saw the church's combat attire. Kaneko was kind enough to volunteer herself since she knew going up against two holy swords, whether it was a formal bout or not, would be almost a death sentence for any devil, so Kaneko went up against Irina, while Kiba went up against Zenobia. During the battle, Kaneko was able to fight fairly against Irina, but was forced to go on the defensive, which even with her traits as a rook, she couldn't help but be cut from her Excalibur mimic, which resulted in her getting treated by Isa. Kiba on the other hand got off easy, since thankfully he was a sword wielder, he could match her speed and sword play, but since he was going up against an Excalibur, his demonic swords were no match for them. In the end, Zenobia destroyed every demonic sword tried creating to match her and ended up being hit in the stomach with the pommel of her sword, which normally wouldn't do much to a devil like him, but since it was from a holy sword, it caused a fair amount of blood. Blurg. That's when I saw my precious knight Kiba fall to the ground in pain while glaring at Zenobia. Zenobia serious, your only weapons are a few swords and a little speed. Not only do you lack the power to use a large sword, but in the process you're sealing away that speed you're proud of. Please tell me you realize that fact. Kiba groans in pain. No wait. Zenobia. Smirks, you should know only to fight when you're rational, after all, you are my superior. It was then I saw both Zenobia and Irina grabbing their robes and leaving the school. Part of me was annoyed that Zenobia had the audacity to talk down to a member of my peerage when he's on the ground. Zenobia smirks, looks like the end, so then are you satisfied? Ria's Gremory. Ria smirks, yes, I'm grateful neither were dealt final blows. Thank you both for your integrity. Zenobia serious, of course, and remember what we talked about earlier. Ria's curious, just out of curiosity. Zenobia curious. Ria smiles, did you find out which fallen angel was guilty of stealing the swords I mean? Zenobia serious, we know who was behind it, yes, a leader of Grigori named Kakabiel. Both me and my peerage were shocked when we heard that these two girls were going after a leader class fallen. It honestly felt like the church was essentially sending them here to die, since they might as well hand over their holy swords to him. Ria's serious, the two of you are after a leader class. Are you planning to die? Zenobia serious, we do what we must to keep the fallen from the holy swords. I am willing to trade my life to annihilate them. Irina serious, we understand the danger, there has already been one casualty. A priest who came to this town to check things out ahead of time was killed. Kiba. Serious, I know who killed him, Fried Selzen. Once again both me and my peerage were surprised that the stray we had to deal with a while back had returned, and more importantly he was somehow still in my territory. But I could also see the fear in Asia's eyes, in which I couldn't blame since after what she had put her through. Ria's serious, really, the stray priest did. Kiba serious, I happened to be there when the priest was murdered and Fried definitely had a holy sword. Zenobia serious, interesting, it was a stray priest, at least we know what we're up against. I appreciate the information you shared, but don't involve yourselves further in our affairs. We'll take our leave. Irina serious, Zenobia wait for me, Bose thank you for your time. As I saw Zenobia and Irina leaving the school grounds I noticed Kiba trying to leave as well without saying anything, in which I called him. Ria's serious, where are you going, Kiba? You do realize I will never permit you to leave me, remember you are a knight of the House of Gremory. Kiba serious, I know, President, and I'm sorry. Ria's surprised Kiba. And just like Kiba left without saying another word, which saddens all of us, especially Kaneko, who she saw Kiba as an older brother. But I was knocked away from my saddened thoughts when Akeno approached me with a serious expression. Akeno serious, Ria's serious, what is it, Akeno? Akeno serious, I know that you're probably worried about Kiba and so am I. But I think we should call Issei back since if a cadre fallen angel is our territory, then we'll need all the help we can get and his boosted gear will no doubt be needed for the fight. Plus we need to know why he's in Kyoto, especially with two people that we have no idea who they are. Ria shakes her head in realization. Of course, you're right Akeno, since I believe he had enough time to do whatever training that needs to be done. It was then I activated a communication circle to contact Issei, only to receive no response, which shocked me. I then tried calling him through my cell phone, but again no reply, which had me worried. Ria's worried. Why isn't it picking up? Asia concerned. Oh no, do you think something happened? Ria's serious. I hardly doubt it, or else he would have tried to call by now. Haneko serious. What should we do since the perv isn't here anymore? Ria's serious. Nothing for now, just continue your business as usual. I know Issei will be back soon. I have complete faith in him. But that my peerage took their leave to continue on with their business. All the while I couldn't but look at the sky with a saddened but hopeful expression. Ria's mind saddened. With her hand over her chest to say please hurry and come back. Scene change. Kyoto, Yasuka Palace 6:01 p.m. It's been a little bit over a day since Issei had his fight with Siegfried and Leonardo, as well claiming Yamato. Since then it's been more or less quiet. When Ghislaine and Sasuke brought Issei and his group to Lady Osaka, she was a bit surprised that it was actually the Red Dragon Emperor who was the one that broke the barrier that the son of Sparta placed decades ago. But she was even more surprised at how handsome Issei was, which made her believe that he wasn't just releasing that power just for show. When Osaka interrogated Ingvild, Urza, and Leonardo on why they were here in Kyoto, Ingvild and Urza explained that they were here to claim Yamato, since one of Issei's predecessors believed he was worthy of claiming it. While Leonardo gave her short answer that he and his group were also trying to claim Yamato for themselves, which made Osaka fairly suspicious of the boy. In the end she decided to just keep them in a confined room for the time being until Issei awakened, since she could tell from their stories that Issei seemed to be the leader of the group. Currently she was talking to Lady Amaterasu about the situation, since she also felt the power that Issei released and was curious on why he was in Shinto territory. Amaterasu curious, so is he awake yet? Osaka sighs. No, he hasn't. Apparently from him breaking down the barrier as well as defeating the guardian of Yamato on top of fighting the descendant of Siegfried practically drained him of all of his energy. He's been asleep all day trying to regain his strength. Amaterasu serious. And what about Yamato? Osaka serious. From what both Ghislaine and Sasuke told me, as well as Issei's companion, that he already claimed and that it already is absorbed into him. Amaterasu serious. That is concerning, since if he's technically with the devils, then the devil faction have both the power of the Red Dragon Emperor as well as Yamato. Osaka nods. I do agree, but Ghislaine did say he heard him trying to say that they meant no harm before he inevitably fell unconscious. Amaterasu serious. Maybe, but we can't take our chances since he is still a devil, or could have just lied in order to gain time to gather his strength so that he and his companions could escape. What about the boy that you mentioned that was a part of the terrorist group? Osaka serious. I put him under extra security with Ghislaine and Sasuke keeping a close eye on him. Amaterasu serious. That's good, since if that boy truly does have the Annihilation Maker, then he is just as dangerous as the Red Dragon Emperor. Osaka serious. My thoughts exactly. Shall we see if the Red Dragon's awake now? Amaterasu smiles. Yes, since I would like to put a face on the boy who entered my land and thought he could take something that didn't belong to him. Scene change. Issei's room. Issei was still unconscious from using all of his power from breaking the barrier and dealing with Beowulf on top of Siegfried. Thankfully Issei didn't receive any physical injuries thanks to whatever regenerative abilities that Issei may have, but it seems that he was still out cold physically. Mentally it was a different story. For the most part it was like he was back in that black void where he encountered Rainer and that mysterious man. Just like before, he called out to the residents inside his soul, but only to receive no response. He kept wondering why he was back here again, since he knew he wasn't dead, because he remember essentially coming back to life and causing all that destruction with Yamato, as well as briefly speaking to that cat lady and that black hair kid that seemed to be around his age. Issei confused. Why am I back here again? Serious Issei. Issei surprised. Huh? Serious Issei, it's time. Issei was beyond confused, since this voice sounded nothing like the person he met before, but couldn't help at the same time he couldn't but feel some form of familiarity with the voice. But before Issei could ask who it was that was calling him, the scenery in front of him completely changed. In place of the black void was a barren wasteland field with swords planted on the ground, the sky filled with old gears slowly turning, and it felt like it was always sunset. Issei couldn't help but wonder where he was and how he got here in the first place. Issei confused. Where the hell am I? Serious Issei. Issei surprised. Huh? That voice again? It was then Issei looked towards the top of the hill. Issei could see a dark-skinned man with silver hair slicked back and steel eyes. He wore a black body armor made from a special material, which consisted of a black tight and sleeveless shirt with silver accents, which outlined his muscles and a metal plate on his collar, and black pants that had 2 black straps on his thighs, and another 2 strapped around his shins separate from each other. He wore black metal-plated shoes, which appeared to be attached to his trousers. He wore a red coat which were actually 2 separate sleeves connected by a metal plate at the back, which covered his arms and was cut off showing his upper torso and midriff, and had a separate red open skirt which ended above his shins, with the top fashioned and tied with an ajimaki knot, covered by a silver metal plate. When Issei saw the man he couldn't help but feel recognition with him like he had seen him somewhere before. Issei confused, who are you? Smiled softly. Now Issei, don't tell me you were too busy thinking about breasts to forget your grandfather now were you? At that statement Issei's eyes widened in disbelief, since he now knew why this man looked familiar to him. This was his grandpa Shiru Haidu. He remembered that his grandfather died when he was around a year after his childhood friend Irina left for England. During that time his grandmother was deeply saddened and died a few years afterwards. But Issei couldn't believe his eyes that his grandfather was right in front of him, but he wondered why he was so young. Nevertheless he couldn't but smile that he got the chance to see his grandpa again, in which he ran up to him and gave him a huge hug. Issei smiles, hugs Shiru. Grandpa Shiru. Shiru chuckles while ruffling Issei's hair. It's good that you haven't forgotten about me, Issei, after all these years. Issei smiles. I missed you, Grandpa. Confused, but how are you here? Is this a dream? Shiru smiles softly, kind of, but this is really me, Issei. But as for why I'm here is because of what you have sealed inside of you as well as your powers beginning to emerge. Issei confused, something inside of me? Wait, are you talking about the boosted gear? Shocked, wait Grandpa, are you telling you're a past possessor of the boosted gear? Thinking, wait a minute, no, that wouldn't make sense since Nero was the last wielder before me. Shiru chuckles, no, it's not the boosted gear, but believe me, I dealt with a 1 or 2 of Drake and Albion's host in the past, including Nero winks. Issei in awe, wow. Really, you've fought both of Drake and Albion's hosts? Confused, but wait, shocked, you know about the supernatural, Grandpa Shiru? Shiru smiles, that's right, and so did your grandmother. Actually our whole family is involved with the supernatural. Issei shocked, what, so not only you and Grandma know, but also Mom and Dad? Shiru nods while smiling, that's right. Issei confused, but why didn't anyone tell me? Shiru saddened, because it was for your safety. Issei confused, my safety? Shiru saddened while nodding, you see Issei, you were born extremely special, and not just because of the boosted gear, but your aptitude for both of our and your mother's family magic was extremely potent inside of you. So much so that we knew that your powers will no doubt attract danger, and your parents wanted you to have a normal life to get away from the supernatural. As such, your parents decided to seal away your powers on top of changing their last names. Issei shocked, wait, Haidu are not our last names? Shiru nods, it isn't Issei, the only reason why me and your grandmother went along with changing our last names was mostly because we wanted to spend time with you, and that was their only condition besides never telling you about the supernatural. But it seems you being the host Drake, fate had other plans in store for you. Issei serious, I see, curious Grandpa, you said part of the reason why you were here was because something was sealed inside of me, but I thought the boosted gear was the only thing that was sealed, so what else could it be? It was then Shiru placed his hand over Issei's chest, in which a glowing golden silhouette of what seemed to be a scabbard, and what Issei could tell from it that it was radiating holy energy, but it shouldn't be possible since he's a devil. Issei shocked and in awe, what is this? Shiru smiles softly, Issei, do you know the legend of Excalibur? Issei thinking, if I remember, it's the sword in the stone that was wielded by King Arthur, right? Shiru chuckles, close, the sword in the stone is actually called Caliburn. But later a new sword was forged after Caliburn was destroyed in battle in what the world now knows as Excalibur. Issei confused, wait, don't tell me I have Excalibur inside me? Shiru laughs, no, or else the entire church would have been banging on your door long before you became a devil. Smiles softly, but what you do have inside of you is actually Excalibur Avalon. Issei in awe, Avalon? Shiru nods, yes, Avalon has been in our family for a little while now. Your great-grandfather Kiritsugu actually implanted Avalon inside when I was just a few years younger than you. I did the same to your father when he was born in order to ensure his safety, and it seems he followed in my footsteps and did the same to you. Serious, you see, Issei, Avalon has the power to heal essentially any wound and provide limited immortality to its user, though it can only fully work if scabbard is reunited with its blade. Issei serious, Excalibur? Shiru nods, that's correct, though even without Excalibur Avalon should have protected you from most of your injuries. But it seems when your parents sealed away your powers it must have affected Avalon and its ability to heal you. You see, Issei, since I had Avalon implanted inside of me, it would seem a part of my soul got entangled into scabbard, hence I'm able to speak to you. Issei serious, but since now my seals are broken it should start responding to my injuries. Shiru nods, yes, it would seem so, but your seals are not completely broken. Issei curious, what do you mean? Shiru serious. It would seem that only a small crack appeared on your seals, but it seems it was enough for Avalon to activate and heal the wounds you received during your fight. Issei curious, do you know how I can break my seals? Shiru nods, no I do not, it would seem that is something you must ask your parents for when you return home. Smiles along with how to use magical abilities on top of learning about your heritage. Just as soon as Shiru said that his body began turning into golden particles. Issei shocked, what's going on? Shiru smiles softly, it seems that my time is up. Issei concerned, no grandpa, I finally got to see you again, but now you have to go. Shiru chuckles while ruffling his hair, I'm not going anywhere Issei. Issei confused, huh? Shiru smiles, I'm just returning back to Avalon since it seems I could only talk to you for only a little bit before going back into the scabbard. Sweat drops, though it might be a while before I can talk to you again. Issei couldn't help but beam with happiness at that response, since his grandfather wasn't entirely leaving him entirely but more or less taking a nap for a while. But there was one thing that he needed to know before Grandpa left him. Issei serious, Grandpa, there's something that I need to know before you go. Shiru curious, what is it, Ice? Issei curious, our name, our family name, what is it? Shiru couldn't help but smile at his grandson's request, though a part of him felt he should let his son and daughter-in-law explain it to him on who and what he is. He couldn't deny his adorable grandson's request and decided to at least tell him his and his wife's family name. Shiru smiles softly, okay then my real name is Shiru Amiya and your grandmother's name is Rin Tasaka. Issei closes his eyes while smiling fondly, Amiya and Tasaka, so my real birth name would have been Issei Tasaka Amiya. Shiru smiles, partly yes, but if you want to know about your other half, you're going to have to ask your mother for that information. Issei smiles fondly, I see, well in that case I guess a part of me should really hurry up and get home then. Smirks with pride, don't worry Grandpa, I promise to make both Amiya and Tasaka names proud, you'll see. Shiru chuckles, I'm sure you will. Issei smiles, I'll see you soon Issei. Issei smiles, see you soon Grandpa. As Shiru finally was just about to disappear, he couldn't help but smile fondly of how much his grandson has grown up since he passed away. When he finally returned to Avalon he had only one thought on his mind. Shiru mind smiles fondly, Orin, if only you could see our grandson right now, chuckles, I see so much of you right now in him when we were kids. I know you'll do amazing things Issei, I just know it. As soon as Shiru completely disappeared as if on cue, a giant light appeared on top of Issei, which meant that it was finally time for him to wake up. Issei serious, well here's goes, nothing. Outside Issei's mind, Issei was slowly opening his eyes, trying to adjust to the light hitting on his eyes. But also felt that his body was very stiff, not as much for when he was out cold during his dragonification process, but fairly stiff nonetheless. But before Issei could begin trying to get up and stretch he felt someone poking his right arm, when looked down, he saw a little girl who was probably no older than 10 years old, who was curiously poking at his Devilbringer. The girl had golden, blonde hair tied in a ponytail and matching eyes. She also has 9 golden foxtails and matching ears. Her main attire is the traditional Maiko outfit and tall jetta with white tabi. The sleeves of her haori feature a giant red star-shaped pentagram, surrounded by 5 smaller pentagrams in between the points. Issei couldn't help inwardly chuckle at how cute she was acting, poking at his Devilbringer like she just got a brand new toy. But he needed to get up as well as figure where Ingvild, Urza, and Leonardo were at. Issei smiles softly, you know, pretty rude to poke someone while they're sleeping. Shocked and startled deep. Issei chuckles while getting up, it's okay, I won't hurt you. Nervishma. Issei smiles softly, I see, in that case my name is Issei Haidu, and what's your name little one? Nervous, my name is Kunu. Issei smiles warmly, Kunu, what a cute name. Kunu Nervishma. Issei curious while looking around, Kunu, where are we? Kunu nervous, we're in my mother's palace. Issei curious, her palace. Kunu nervously nods, my mother is Lady Yasaka, and she's the leader of the Yakai faction. Issei curious, Yasuka. Oh yeah, I think I heard the muscle lady saying that she was sent by someone by the name Yasuka. Kunu nervous, that's Auntie Ghislaine and she is mother's personal guard, as well as the best swordswoman in the entire Yakai faction. Issei thinking, Ghislaine, huh? It was then Issei looked over to Kunu, who was still a bit scared, which he probably guessed she could, that he was a devil, and since devils didn't have a good reputation, she must have thought Issei might attack her. Issei smiles warmly, you have nothing to fear Kunu, I promise I won't hurt you, okay? Kunu nervous, you promise? Issei smiles softly, yes I promise. Curious, but why are you here? Kunu nervous, I was playing hide and seek with Ani-chan, I then came in here and saw you sleeping. I was going to leave, but I saw your arm and got curious since I thought the lights looked pretty. Issei blinks curiously, you like the lights? Looks at his Devilbringer before chuckling, I guess the lights do look nice, don't they? Kunu curious, Haidu-san, just what are you? Because I can sense something dark inside you, but you are also something else. Issei smiles warmly, well first you don't have to call me Haidu, since I'm not one for formalities as such, you can call me Issei or Ice. As for what I am, I'm a devil dragon hybrid. At that statement Kunu's eyes widened in awe since the only dragon that she ever met was Yulong. But she never thought she would meet another dragon, but she was confused since Issei didn't look like a dragon. Kunu in awe, you're a dragon, Issei-san. Confused, but you don't look like one. I thought dragons were supposed to be big, have scales, wings, and have really sharp teeth. Issei chuckles, well you see Kunu, I wasn't born a dragon like others you may have heard, since I turned into one through a complicated process. But I assure you, even though I wasn't born a dragon, I'm still a dragon nonetheless, and I'll prove it to you. It was then Issei sprouted his 4 crimson and black dragon wings and turned his left arm into that of a dragon. Kunu was in complete awe of the beauty of Issei's wings and tail, and his scales were like they were made of jewels. Of course, being a child she had the age to touch them, but she didn't be rude. Issei seeing this gave her a nod that she could go ahead and touch them, which made Kunu excited and happy. As Kunu touched Issei's scales and wings, she couldn't deny how smooth and sturdy they were, and the colors of the scales were dazzling. She thought that Issei's red scales were even prettier than her Ani-chan's fur hair. Kunu in awe, wow Issei-san, your wings and scales are so pretty. Issei chuckles, why thank you Kunu, we dragons take great pride in our features, so for you to compliment them like that is very kind of you. Kunu giggles, you're welcome Issei-san. Curious while looking at Devilbringer, Issei-san, what is wrong with that arm? Issei smiles, this is my Devilbringer. Kunu confused, Devilbringer? Issei smiles, yup, it's the manifestation of my demonic power. Kunu in awe, so what can it do? Issei smiles, well with it I can store certain weapons like having an extra pair of pockets. But if I focus I can summon a giant version of this hand to perform attacks or grab large objects. Kunu in awe, can you show me? Issei chuckles, sure, I don't see why not. As Issei looked around the room that he was in order to see what to use as a way to show Kunu his Devilbringer abilities. That's when Issei spotted a couple of flowers in a vase on top of a drawer in front of him. As such, Issei started to focus his demonic energy into his devil, bring until a large spectral demonic hand emerged, which Kunu stared at it in awe. Issei then controlled the demonic to grab a single flower from the vase and brought back and gave the Kunu, who was essentially jumping up and down with excitement of something brand new cool. Issei smiles softly, there you go Kunu. Kunu smiles happily, wow. Issei-san, you're so cool. Issei chuckles, why thank you Kunu. Kunu excited, what else can you do? Meanwhile in the hallways 3 minutes earlier, walking among the halls of Yasaka's palace was a young man that seemed to be around Issei's age. He had red spiky hair and blue eyes, he had 3 whisker markings on his cheeks. But his most notable features were his red fox ears and 9 tails. He wore a red yukata. The boy seemed to be looking for someone, but seemed to have no idea where this person might be. Curious, Kunu? Where are you? Sighs, I swear Kunu, why do you always make things so hard for me to find you? I swear if I don't find you in the next 5 minutes I'm gonna say screw it and use Sage Arts as well as my shadow clones to find you, because the last thing I need is for you to get me in trouble with our mother. Yasaka, curious Naruto? Naruto surprised, huh? In front of the boy now named Naruto was Yasaka as well as Amaterasu, who were on their way to check on Issei if he was awake or not. Seeing that the goddess of the Shinto pantheon, Naruto quickly bowed in respect for the goddess, as being one of the few people besides his adopted mother and sister on top of his best friend and sworn rival. Naruto bows mother, Lady Amaterasu, what are you doing here? Amaterasu smiles, it's good to see you again Naruto, you've gotten stronger since the last time I saw you. Naruto, serious, thank you for noticing Lady Amaterasu, even though it seems I've been just playing and looking after Kanu, I'm training to my utmost ability to become the strongest and be on par with Sasuke. Amaterasu giggles, I see that you two rivalry hasn't changed in a bit. Yasaka, curious Naruto, what are you doing here, shouldn't you be with Kunu? Naruto sighs while scratching the back of his head. Kunu wanted to play hide and seek, but of course she made things difficult for me to find her. I've searched the entire palace, I was honestly just gonna give up and use my shadow clones and my sage arts to find her. Amaterasu smiles, my look at you being a good big brother giving your little sister a chance to win. Smirks mischievously, you know if you keep this up Hinata won't be able to stay away from you know. Naruto blushes in embarrassment, Lady Amaterasu please, you shouldn't say things like that. Amaterasu smiles mischievously, are you afraid Hinata will hear it and make Yasaka a grandmother sooner than she expected? Yasaka couldn't help but have a tick mark in annoyance since, even though she's technically a couple 100 years old, it didn't mean she was some old hag that couldn't land herself a man. But her thoughts were stopped when all of them heard Kunu laughing behind the door that Issei was in. Kunu laughing, wow that's so cool, what else can you make? Sliding door opening, Naruto Yasaka concerned Kunu. Kunu Issei startled, huh? What Naruto, Yasaka, and Amaterasu saw was both shocking as well as unexpected. They saw Issei still sitting on his bed with pictures of his flames, in which Amaterasu was both amazed and impressed at the level of fire control of fire that Issei had, especially for someone of his age. The sun goddess saw how was able to change the color of his flames to help satisfy what the picture represented. She couldn't help but be impressed at the level of skill this generation's Red Dragon Emperor had. All the while both Hisaka and Naruto were filled with concern on why their daughter sister was inside the Red Dragon Emperor's room, which was strictly forbidden. Issei, seeing this, decided to dispel the images he made with his flames so that he could hopefully to the two people who just walked into the room. Amaterasu whispered, "Serious, my Hisaka, you were right, he is pretty cute." Hisaka, "Serious, Kunu, what are you doing here?" Naruto, concerned, "You know, mother told us that this room is forbidden until further notice. So why did you come in here? This devil could have killed you." Anu sat in with her head down. I'm sorry, Akasan-Ani-san, I just wanted to play, and then I found Issei-san, and he was incredibly nice, and showed how pretty his fire was." Issei, seeing Kunu, felt saddened by this since he felt that this was mostly his fault that she got in trouble with her mother and brother. He decided to see if he could take the blame, since if he didn't tell Kunu to leave she wouldn't be in this mess. Issei said, "And you must be Lady Hisaka." Hisaka, "Serious, yes, I am." Issei said, "And please don't be too hard on Kunu since the blame is mostly on me, since the only reason she was still here was because gestures to his devil bringer was because of my demonic, and I should have told her to leave as soon as I woke up, since I know in your eyes, I'm a trespasser. But please, I know she's your daughter and you only want what is best for her and to be safe, but please remember she is only a child and I would never bring harm to a child no matter the circumstances." Everyone was surprised that the Red Dragon Emperor, who was let alone a devil, was taking blame for Kunu being in this situation. Usually the majority of Red Dragon Emperors were power-hungry narcissists who only cared about themselves and their own self-interests, but to see this generation's Red Dragon Emperor show such kindness and consideration for someone was almost unheard of. This also made both women curious about who this boy was and why he was curious. That was when Amaterasu looked into Issei's eyes and saw something that intrigued her. It was then the sun goddess walked over Issei, which confused a brown-haired boy greatly on why a beautiful woman was suddenly walking up to her. Once Amaterasu was close enough to Issei, she cupped his cheeks to have a better look at his eyes, which caused Issei blush as well as everyone to be shocked that the sun goddess of the Shinto pantheon was willing to touch a creature of pure evil like a devil. As Amaterasu looked into Issei's eyes, she saw the most beautiful and most majestic flames that she had ever seen inside this boy's soul. The color and roaring passion that Issei possessed was something that she had never seen before, and the heat that she could feel from those flames caused her to blush. Amaterasu mind blushes, these flames, they're neither holy or demonic, they're not even divine. These flames are so pure and untainted, pure untainted flames, even more pure than my divine flames that are as hot as the sun. When I look into this boy's eyes, it's like watching and feeling the warmth of a star being born." Issei blushes nervously. Miss." Amaterasu, startled, "Huh?" Smiles nervously, "Oh, please forgive me, I had no idea what came over me." Issei smiles nervously, "No, it's okay, it's just I was caught off guard is all." Amaterasu smiles warmly, "Of course." Naruto, serious, "So what is a devil like doing here in our territory?" Issei, curious, "And you are?" Naruto, serious, "My name is Naruto Uzumaki, another nine-tailed fox." No, stop avoiding the question and answer it already. Hisaka, serious, "Naruto, that's enough. Can't you tell he just woken up?" Naruto, serious, "But mother, he's a devil and we're not allies with him. Plus didn't you say that he and his compatriots were technically trespassing?" Sasuke, serious, "Yes, but you must remember that I and Amaterasu wanted to at least hear why this boy was in our territory in the first place. Plus he is the Red Dragon Emperor and hardly doubt he's a stray, since the devils wouldn't let such a priceless ally go stray without a valid reason." Naruto, concerned, "Yes, but he was in here with Kunu and..." Amaterasu, serious, "If he wanted to do anything to Kunu then he would have done it long before any of us had arrived." Looks at Issei with a soft smile, "Besides, I can tell from that boy's eyes that he is a good and honest soul and wouldn't want to hurt anyone without good reason." Issei blushes nervously, "Thank you, but may I ask who you are?" Amaterasu giggles, "Goodness me, where are my manners?" Smiles warmly, "I am Amaterasu, the sun goddess of the Shinto pantheon." This shocked Issei on so many levels since this was his first time seeing a goddess and before you start, he doesn't know that he actually met Aphrodite, so technically this is his first official meeting with a god or goddess. Issei remembered that his parents told him about they tried having children twice before he was born and both of them ended with miscarriages, and after giving it one last try, they went to the Grand Ice Shrine and prayed to Shinto goddess Amaterasu to help them give birth to a healthy child. When Issei was born, as a show of thanks to the goddess that they prayed to, they named him after the shrine where they prayed to. Seeing that Issei was in front of the person who may or may not have helped him come into this world, he instantly got up from his bed and bowed in respect in front of the goddess. Issei bows, "Forgive me, I had no idea I was in the presence of the goddess who helped come into this world." Everyone confused, "Huh?" Amaterasu, blushing, "Well, confused, what are you talking about? What do you mean I helped you come into this world?" Issei smiles warmly, "My name is Issei Haidu, and you see, before I was born my parents tried having children but ended with my mother having a miscarriage twice. When they decided to give having a child another go, they went to the Ice Grand Shrine and prayed to you in hopes their prayer could be answered and they can have a child of their own, and a few months later I was born. Amaterasu was surprised by what Issei just told him, and a part of her had a hard time believing it. But given Issei's age as well as the story he just told her, it made remember a time where she did hear a young couple praying at her shrine about hoping to have a young child to be born, in which she helped bless the couple so that they could have their child. Amaterasu mind curious, could this be the child that I blessed the young couple all those years ago? Issei smiles warmly. Amaterasu mind blushes, crap, he's so cute and handsome. Blushes nervously, I mean I blessed couples before to have a healthy child, but I don't think any of them came out this cute or handsome before. Is he sure that his parents didn't just get lucky? If so, who the hell is his father? Issei nervous, excuse me, Lady Isaka. Isaka curious, yes. Issei nervous, my friends, the ones that I came here with, are they okay? Isaka serious, yes they are, they were very worried for you while you were asleep. They kept on begging me to let me see you, but of course I denied them. Issei serious, I see, I understand Lady Isaka, but if you could, can you let me see them so I can let them know I'm okay? Isaka serious, that will depend if you tell me why you and your friends were in my territory without permission. Amaterasu serious, I would also like to know why someone who was born in the beautiful lands that my father made decided to become a devil. Issei sad, and I see, well I guess that's only fair since I am in your territory and rather not cause trouble for my master for getting in trouble with the Shinto pantheon. Isaka curious, oh so you are a reincarnated devil. So tell me, who is your master? Issei serious, I'm a pawn of the service of Ria's Gremory. This shocked everyone to think that the Red Dragon Emperor was in service of the Gremory family. But at least that somewhat eases their worries a bit since they knew that the Gremory are an understanding and peaceful devil family and less provoked, and if the rumors are true that they value family over anything else, then the likelihood of Issei of being astray was highly unlikely. Isaka serious, I see you're with the Gremory family, luckily I've met your master briefly last year and I know she can be a very understanding person. Issei surprised, you met Ria's before? Isaka nods, yes, last year when she and her peerage came to Kyoto for their school trip and wanted permission to move around Kyoto. Issei serious, oh, I see, I guess that makes sense. Amaterasu serious, but please tell us why you would want to become a devil. Issei said, and it wasn't exactly a choice to be fairly honest. Everyone confused, what do you mean? Issei said, and you see I was once useless, no good pervert who all I would think about is becoming the harem king and touching as many breasts as possible. Until one day after school I was asked out by a pretty girl who wanted me to be her boyfriend, of course being the idiot pervert that I was I accepted it without realizing the dangers that would befall before me. It wasn't until we had our date, at first everything was going well and I did everything I could do to make sure the date went perfect. But when we finally reached our date she revealed her true intentions. It turns out that she was a fallen angel in disguise and was sent to kill me because of my sacred gear. Then I died. Thankfully I was saved by Ria's Gremory, though it did cost me my humanity as well as me becoming a slave. Smiles fondly, but I didn't mind it since becoming her pawn. She has treated me with nothingness and kindness and I would do anything for her. Upon hearing Issei's story on how he became a devil, everyone was both shocked and saddened that Issei had to go through something like that. Though Naruto couldn't help but cringe about the part of Issei being a boob-loving pervert since it reminded him of perverted sensei who's currently traveling right now with his wife. But at the same time he did feel bad about Issei being believed you have a shot at real relationship with someone only to find out that you were being used for a mission as well as her sick pleasures, which is something Naruto wouldn't wish upon his worst enemies. But before anyone could say anything they saw Amaterasu bawling her eyes out after hearing Issei's story. Amaterasu crying her eyes, that's so sad. Issei panics, oh no please don't cry Lady Amaterasu, I didn't mean to make you cry. But before Issei could say anything to hopefully calm down the sun goddess, Amaterasu ran up to Issei giving him a tight bear hug. Though what Amaterasu didn't know that she was accidentally pressing Issei's face against her breasts, in which Issei couldn't help but blush, have a slight perverted grin on his face due to how soft and big Amaterasu's breasts were. Though this did make Isaka fairly jealous since Amaterasu was unknowingly getting another cute man to fall for her. While Naruto facepalmed at Issei's expression since it greatly reminded him of his sensei. Naruto mind facepalmed, why do I feel like Issei and Jiraiya sensei would get along great together? Issei mind blushes while having a perverted grin, crap. I need to stop thinking how good and amazing Amaterasu's breasts feel, damn it I'm slowly reverting back to my original perverted mindset. Serious, come on Issei, you're not only the Red Dragon Emperor, but you're also the grandson of Shiro Amiya and Rin Tasaka. You can't let something like boobs get the best of you. Even if they are the greatest things that have blessed the universe. Amaterasu cries her eyes out, don't worry my little son, I'll make sure that you're alright. I'll make sure that nothing bad happens to you ever again, smiles happily, I got it. I'll just go ahead burn all those cruel and nasty fallen angels to ashes so none of them can hurt you again. Everyone shocked. What? Isaka panics. Lady Amaterasu, you can't just march down to the underworld and kill its residents over one boy, it will cause us to go to war with the fallen angels. Amaterasu pouts while hugging Issei tighter. This isn't just some boy, Yusaka, he is a born child of this land, and not only that he is a child I personally blessed, and you know how I feel about those children. No, this is an insult to me. Isaka serious. But Lady Amaterasu, even though this boy now belongs to the devils, and if the fallen angels find out about that, then they will think that you are siding with them, plus you need to think about the rest of the pantheon. Hearing about this of course made Issei panic and worried, since the last thing that he needed was to be the cause of a war. Finally breaking himself from his perverted thoughts, was able to break free from Amaterasu's tight grasp. Issei mind sighs. Thank goodness that Ryuzer Esdeath didn't see that, or else pales, it's going to be a cold day in hell for me. Issei breaths. Finally I can breathe. Smiles softly. Please Lady Amaterasu, don't attack the fallen angels on my behalf, because I deeply want to believe that not all fallen angels are as cruel as the one that killed me. Amaterasu worried. But what if those fallen angels try to hurt you again? Or end up breaking your heart? Issei smiles warmly. I'll be fine, I've been training constantly for the past few months and gotten a whole lot stronger, hence part of the reason why I needed to grab Yamato. So I can make sure I can protect myself as well as the ones I love. Everyone was a bit surprised on the reason why Issei wanted to claim Yamato, since mostly everyone who has ever tried claim Yamato have failed and were mostly in it for themselves. But they believe that Issei's determination to gain the power to protect the people he cares about was enough for him to not only destroy the barrier, but also to make himself worthy of Yamato. Isaka curious. Mr. Haidu, is it possible for us to see Yamato? Issei smiles warmly. Yes of course Lady Isaka, but please call me Issei since I'm not one for formalites. This caused Yusaka to blush uncontrollably due to Issei's heartwarming and charming smile. Amaterasu saw this and got a little jealous at Yusaka's reaction, since she had known the fox for quite a while now and could tell she was getting interested in Issei. But nevertheless Issei raised his devil bringer and focused his mind on it to summon Yamato. After a few seconds the lights on Issei's devil bringer glowed brightly and came Yamato in its scabbard. Everyone in the room was in awe of the presence of the blade that was wielded by the legendary Dark Knight. Amaterasu, Yusaka, and Naruto could feel the demonic power oozing off of it. Isaka mind amazed. So this is Yamato? It's beautiful. Amaterasu mind amazed. The demonic energy irradiating off the blade is off the charts, and to think this boy was able to wield it as well as not fall into madness. He truly is a boy of mystery. Naruto mind amazed. So this is the blade that can cut through anything, even space itself. I think not even Sasuke or Ghislaine would be able to handle him if he knew how to use it. Issei smirks. Pretty cool, huh? Amaterasu smiles. It is indeed ice, a sword of that caliber belongs to a true master of the sword. Curious, may I hold it? Issei concerned. I don't know Lady Amaterasu, I mean the last person who tried touching this sword was left with some pretty nasty scars. I don't want anything to happen to you. Amaterasu blushes. Giggles while waving Issei off. Thank you Ice, but worry not, I'll be fine, even if I do get a few cuts I'll heal quickly enough, especially when the sun rises. Issei concerned. Are you sure? Amaterasu smiles. Yes Ice, I'll be fine. After a few moments of hesitation Issei handed Yamato to Amaterasu, who as soon as she felt the weight of the blade on her hand, just like with Siegfried, the demonic power from the blade began erupting violently. The demonic power that was being released got so bad that Naruto and Yusaka rushed over to Kanu to shield her. Amaterasu had definitely underestimated the amount of demonic power that the Blade of Sparta held. She tried making it submit by using her divine energy on the blade, but that just made Yamato react even more violently. Issei, now seeing that this was a bad idea for Amaterasu holding Yamato, and decided to take the sword from the sun goddess before more damage could be done to herself or the room they were in. Issei breathing heavily while holding Yamato. It was a close one. Amaterasu panting. Forgive me Ice-kun, it seems that I underestimated the power of Yamato and that it is extremely picky when it comes to its wielder. I'm amazed that you were able to handle the demonic power dwelling within that blade. Amaterasu mind panting. I'm more surprised that Issei hasn't become corrupted or gone insane from using that sword. The power within that blade can intoxicate anyone with even the slightest desire to become stronger. So the fact that this boy hasn't fallen into madness is amazing all on its own. Smiles warmly. Just like his flames, his heart and soul must be pure so that he is able to withstand the tempting power of the blades of Sparta despite being a devil. Issei smiles weakly. Thank you Lady Amaterasu. Looks around. Is everyone okay? Isaka serious. We're fine. Kanu in awe. That was so cool. Let's do that again. Everyone serious. No. Naruto checking himself. Damn, that blade does not like being in someone else's hands, huh? Issei serious. Well, from what I've heard the blades of Sparta are the pure demonic version of Excalibur, which is very picky when it comes to those who wield it. Normally only a descendant of Sparta can use the swords, but since the last descendant of Sparta died decades ago, they have to find someone who is at least worthy enough to wield them, which as you saw with Lady Amaterasu, if you're not meant to wield it, then you're gonna get something a whole lot worse than a simple rejection like holy swords. I'm just glad that I was able to get it away from Lady Amaterasu before more damage could be done to both the palace and herself. But that Issei returned Yamato back into Devilbringer, as well as helping Amaterasu up since she fell on the ground when Issei grabbed Yamato from her. Issei smiles while offering his hand. Here you go Lady Amaterasu. Amaterasu blushes. Smiles happily. Thank you Ice-kun. Issei smiles warmly. The pleasure is all mine. Amaterasu smiles. Well, since no one besides you can hold the Yamato, is it possible for you to give us a demonstration of its ability? Everyone in the room was surprised by what the sun goddess was asking of Issei. Everyone besides Kanu were curious on why Amaterasu was curious and adamant in seeing what Yamato has to offer. In reality, Amaterasu wanted to see if what she felt from the blade was true. Issei on the other hand was curious and a little bit suspicious on why the sun goddess of the Shinto pantheon wanted to see the Yamato in action. But he couldn't help but think that this could be a good way for him to test out the Yamato. Normally he would have asked Nero to help him, since he was the expert on the swords that belonged to Sparta and what their abilities were, but he sensed that he was sleeping within the sacred boosted gear, or to be more precise, he was completely knocked out along with Natsu and Drake. He guessed at the battle Siegfried along with him almost dying and coming back thanks to Avalon, and whoever that mysterious guy was must have completely drained them of energy, and they will need time to at least wake up so that they can discuss on what he experienced as well as that form he used to save Leonardo. But sadly he didn't have the luxury to do so right now. Even though Amaterasu and Yasaka are being nice to him right now, he needed to remember that we're not technically allies, as much as he hate to admit it, since he really hoped and wanted for everyone to get along, so that he and his loved ones wouldn't have to fight or keep on watching over their backs for danger. Plus he needed to remember that he doesn't know where exactly Ingvild, Urza, and Leonardo were in this place, and he refused to abandon them, so he believed it was best to play along for the meantime, so that he could gain there and hopefully make some kind of good relationship between the devils and the Shinto faction. Issei serious. I see. Well then, as a thanks for taking me and my comrades to your lovely home, I suppose I can do as such. But I can please see my comrades since I know that at least two of them must be worried about me, and I would rather not keep them waiting, especially if they must have my power by now letting them know I'm awake. Amaterasu smiles. Of course, I'll have Yusaka and Naruto here to fetch them, and they can meet us in the training area. Issei bows. Thank you so much for your kindness Lady Amaterasu. Amaterasu smiles. Think nothing of it, especially I'm actually a bit relieved that Yamato is in your hands instead of those terrorists, even if you are a devil. Issei amazed. Lady Amaterasu. Amaterasu smiles while cupping Issei's cheeks. I remember now, about 18 years ago or so I heard two couples praying to me in one of my shrines, hoping to have a healthy child to be born. Hearing the desperation in their prayer, I decided to grant them my blessing so that the next child they conceived would live and be strong and healthy. But the thing was that their last names were not Haidu, and I believe you know what I'm saying, don't you Ice? Everyone confused. Huh? Yasaka curious. Lady Yasaka, are you saying that Issei isn't his real name? Amaterasu nods while smiling. No, his real name is Issei, but his last name is not Haidu, since there is no one in Japan that I know whose true family name is Haidu. Anu curious. Then what is it? Issei smiles. Wow, I really hope not to reveal who I truly am until I saw my parents again, since they do have some explaining to do, but I expect nothing less from you Lady Amaterasu. Very well then, I can at least part of my true last name, since I still don't know who I'm related to on my mother's side, yet my real name is Issei Tasaka Emiya, and I'm the grandson of Shiro Emiya and Rin Tasaka. Upon hearing Issei's true name was Yasaka was beyond shocked. She heard that Shiro Emiya had a son, but to think that the son had a child of his own was amazing on its own. All the while had a fond smile on her face, since she knew part of the reason why she was already fond of this boy and why his flames were so pure. Amaterasu mind smiles fondly. So this is your latest descendant Hasenji Muramasa. I must say out of all your descendants he must be the cutest one ever, even more so than Shiro-kun. Isaka shocked while pointing to Issei. You're related to Shiro Emiya as in the great hero of justice Shiro Emiya. Issei smiles, that's right. Curious, but what do you mean hero of justice? Not to sound rude or act like you don't know what you are saying, but to be fair, I only just found out who my grandfather really was before waking up. So could you elaborate? Isaka confused. Wait, you know who your descendant is from, but you don't know the meaning behind it. Issei nods. No, because I was only able to speak to my grandfather briefly and that I should ask my parents about my heritage. Isaka serious. I see. Well, to put it simply Issei, your grandfather Shiro Emiya was known as the hero of justice due to his selfless nature and trying to help people wherever he was truly a hero of our time. He was so powerful that he was considered the strongest human to ever have existed, to the point he reached the top 10 strongest beings' existence, and due to his power to essentially copy any weapon he saw, made him an undeniable asset or threat to anyone. Every faction including us has tried convincing your grandfather to join us, but he refused since he wanted to maintain his humanity. Since no one would dare try to anger your grandfather, they respected his wishes. That was when your grandfather received his other title, which was the Guardian of Humanity, since a part of him believed humans, especially those with sacred gear, should try to do everything they can to maintain their humanity. Issei couldn't help but be in awe of what his grandfather stood for when he was alive. To think that that he had known his grandfather, who was just a retired old archer instructor, was actually a supernatural superhero who was both feared and respected. This honestly made Issei even more excited to learn more about his heritage so that he could be as cool and badass as his grandfather. But of course that will have to wait until he either sees his grandfather or his parents again, in which he made plans for as soon as he returns back to Kuo. It was then Issei started following Amaterasu to the training area, but was stopped when he felt a small hand grasping his devil bringer. When he looked down, he saw Kunu with a joyful smile on her face. Issei confused Kunu. Kunu smiles happily. I wanna go with Ice-kun. Isaka serious now. Kunu, that's not gonna happen. Kunu pouts while holding Issei's hands tighter, but I wanna go with Ice-kun. Naruto serious. Kanu, when mother says no that means no. So please get away from Issei now. Kunu pouts, but Issei, seeing that this could go on forever, he decided to end it by picking up Kanu and taking her to Naruto so that she wouldn't get herself into more trouble with her family. Issei serious now. Kunu, you should listen to your mother and Ani-sama. Kunu pouts, but Issei nods no but smiles warmly. They are just looking out for you and concerned for your safety. I promise to play and hang out with you after I'm done with what Amaterasu has asked of me. But you need to be patient and listen to mother and Ani-sama, okay? Kunu puffs her cheeks. You promise? Issei smiles softly. Pinky promise. With Issei making the pinky promise gesture to Kunu, he handed her over to Naruto so that he could follow Amaterasu to the training area to perform the test. Scene change. Isaka's palace, training area. Issei and Amaterasu have just arrived in the training arena within Lady Isaka's palace. Issei had to admit that the training grounds were impressive to say the least. In the middle of the area was what looked like a large ring that seemed to be used for sparring and training exercises. At the other side he saw wooden poles with targets on them to help with long-range attacks, and on the left was some workout equipment. Seeing all of this sort of brought out the training maniac within Issei, since this was in short more or less his ideal training area. This made him think if he could somehow have something similar to this. Issei mind curious. I wonder if there was a way for me to create a training area similar to this, but with my own baddest touches. Eyes widen in excitement. That's it. I can use that arena back in Hawaii. Smirks with excitement. I would first have to make sure that the old Satan faction has completely abandoned it first. Curious, maybe when Nero wakes up I can ask if he has any books on barriers and magical traps so I can set up around the island so that no one could enter it without my permission. Thinking now the other question would be on how to get the equipment I would need as well as add some utilities. Confused, why do I feel like Uncle Oz would be the best person to ask for this type of stuff? Amaterasu seeing Issei's expression, she decided out of curiosity. Amaterasu curious, what are you thinking about, Ice? Issei startled smiles sheepishly. Oh sorry, I was just thinking when I get back home I could somehow make a training area similar to this. Amaterasu smiles. Oh well, if you want I would bet that Yusaka would be more than happy to let you come here to train. Issei chuckles. Thank you for the offer, but until an official alliance is made between us, I don't want to cause uneasiness for the yokai here. Amaterasu giggles. I guess that's true, besides I hardly doubt you'll get any training done with Kunu asking you to play with her. Issei chuckles. Maybe, but she has her older brother and her mother, and not to mention her father. Upon hearing that last statement, Amaterasu's radiant smile turned into a frown in which Issei noticed and got concerned if he said something wrong by accident. Issei concerned. Did I say something wrong? Amaterasu saddened. No, it's just Kunu doesn't have a father. Issei surprised. What? Did something happen to Yusaka's husband? Amaterasu nods. No, the thing is that Kunu's father was another fox yokai who only had a one-night stand with Yusaka. He had already left without a trace by the time Yusaka was pregnant with Kunu. Poor Kunu has asked mother numerous times of who her father was, but Yusaka was able to avoid answering the question. Yusaka doesn't want to tell her daughter that her father is some kind of deadbeat who ran away from his responsibilities if that were to happen. Issei saddened. Then she would lose complete faith in men entirely. Amaterasu saddened. That's right, and Yusaka doesn't want Kunu to have that type of mindset since she wants her daughter to be with someone that would cherish her and be faithful to her. She wants to give Kunu the chance she never had. Issei saddened. I see, but what about Naruto? Amaterasu saddened. He's adopted. Issei confused. Adopted? Amaterasu sat and while nodding you see Issei, Naruto is a descendant of the evil fox demon Kurama, who a few centuries almost destroyed all of Japan and was about to continue his rampage into Takamagahara until Yasaka's grandfather the other Nine Tails stopped his rampage once and for all. But of course Kurama also had children before he died in which the Yokai faction on orders from Yasaka's grandfather to find and kill them. It was a massacre, so many young foxes were killed just because of who they were related to. I wanted to end the bloodshed, but I also grew to be afraid that one of his descendants will take what their ancestor left off and try to destroy the entire Shinto faction. Naruto's mother Kushina, who was Kurama's great-granddaughter, was a good friend to Yasaka and Ghislaine, but shortly after Naruto was born a couple of rogue yokai decided that it was time to end the cursed bloodline once and for all. By the time Yasaka and Ghislaine got there it was too late for Kushina and her husband Minato, but they were able to save Naruto. After the rogues were executed for their act of treason, Yasaka took it upon herself to raise Naruto as her son, despite everyone in the Shinto faction telling her that it was a grave mistake to let him live. Issei said and he grew up being despised by everyone. Amaterasu said and yes, and because of all of that discrimination he grew up to fear his own power and making sure that he never uses it because of what his great-great-grandfather did. Issei confused, but he shouldn't be afraid. Amaterasu confused, huh? Issei serious? Just because of what old man centuries ago doesn't dictate who he is now or what he's going to be in the future. I can sense true good inside Naruto and a power that will no doubt surpass Kurama, but the problem is that he is holding himself back. He needs to realize that it's his power, not Kurama. Once he realizes that, it opens a path towards a strength that he could never have thought possible. Amaterasu was amazed in the wisdom and confidence in Issei's words and how much faith that he had in Naruto and that he will no doubt overcome the doubt and trauma he has in his heart just like Jiraiya does. Amaterasu mind amazed. That's exactly what Jiraiya said. Amaterasu smiles warmly. Thank you for having so much faith in Naruto, Ice-kun. But please don't mention anything that I mentioned to you. Issei serious? Of course I will keep it under wraps. Ingvild Urza smiles happily. Issei-san master. Issei surprised, huh? Issei turned around behind him only to be tackled by both Ingvild and Urza, who happily shed tears that Issei was okay and well with Yasaka, Kunu, and Naruto behind them. Issei couldn't but chuckle and rub the back of their head since he did make them worry for almost 2 days now. Issei chuckles. I'm glad to see you two are alright. Ingvild concerned. Are you kidding me? You scared us half to death twice yesterday. You were literally impaled 4 times. Urza worried. I was literally about to go on a rampage and shred Siegfried into pieces for taking you away from us. Issei mind sweat drops. With monster strength like yours, a part of me actually feels bad for Siegfried right about now. Issei smiles warmly while rubbing their backs. Hey, you two know that I wouldn't leave you like that, besides I'm too stubborn to die. At that response Urza and Ingvild couldn't help but laugh since Issei was right, because from all the crap they have been through together they both knew Issei was not one to die so easily. It was then Issei, Ingvild, and Urza finally got back from the ground, and when Issei looked behind them, he saw Leonardo coming this way with the 2 people that brought him and his group to Yasaka's palace in the first place. Issei smiles. Hey Leonardo, how are you doing? Leonardo stoic. Fine. Issei mind sweat drops. We got to work on your communication skills. Issei smiles nervously. Well, that's good to know at least. Is Lane serious? I brought the boy like you asked Lady Yasaka. Sasuke serious? Thankfully he didn't give us any trouble. Issei raises an eyebrow. Well, of course he's not gonna give you trouble. Even if he has a sacred gear he's still only a child and he could obviously tell that you two are a whole lot stronger than him, so him trying anything would be instant death. Is Lane serious? Yes, but he possesses a Longinus and one of the top ranking ones as such. Sasuke serious? As such he was placed under heavier security than the rest of associates. Issei serious again? He's just a kid. Just because he happened to be born with a Longinus doesn't mean he was born an automatic threat. It would take Leonardo at least a few years to at least be able to create a monster that can handle ultimate to Satan class beings without using balance breaker. Here you are looking at him as if he could easily create a monster that can rival the heavenly dragons. Sasuke serious? And look at you, from what I heard you're just about me and Naruto's age and can already go up against god class beings. If that's not a sign that you could be a possible threat to our faction, then I don't know what is. Issei serious? Because I had no choice. I didn't ask to be born with a boosted gear, nor did I ask to be brought into the supernatural. But I have learned to embrace it, since whether I like it or not power attracts power, and people are going to gunning for both me and the people I care about just because I have the potential to kill gods. Saddened while looking at Leonardo. When I see Leonardo I see that he still has a choice that I didn't have the privilege to have, and that is to not be a part of the supernatural and being able to live a somewhat normal human life. He's young and has his whole life ahead. I don't want him to run towards an early grave just because of what he has inside of him. Everyone was shocked and touched by what Issei just said, and that he didn't ask to be a part of the supernatural or the power of the Red Dragon, and that he had to force himself to endure the craziness and the dangers that the supernatural comes with. Leonardo was most shocked of all since now he knows why Issei was so concerned about him since they first met, and he was right. A part of him wished that he didn't ask to be wielder of Annihilation Maker or be forced to fight monsters, devils, fallen angels, and dragons, but ever since he unlocked his sacred gear, his life has been all about surviving and becoming stronger in order to defend from beings who want to make use of him for his power. All he ever wanted was to have a normal life and have a loving family that cared for him, which were things he sadly did not have the luxury of even before he joined the hero faction. Leonardo minds serious he really isn't like other devils or dragons. Sasuke serious that may be true for this one here, but what about you Red Dragon Emperor? From what, every red and white dragon emperors is essentially destined to die alone due to their insanity and lust for power. Issei serious so just because a few red and white dragon emperors went off the deep end you think that every last one of them is gonna end up like that? Sasuke serious it essentially has been that way ever since the heavenly dragons became sacred gears. Issei serious well then has you or anyone in the supernatural ever thought you guys made them that way? Sasuke serious what are you saying? Issei serious I'm saying that maybe the reason why the majority of red and white dragon emperors went insane and power hungry in the first place was because people like you, who are swallowed up by your fear and anxiety that you automatically bully them and place a target on their backs as soon as they appear. Who knows maybe like a half or a quarter of those red and white dragon emperors just wanted to be left alone in peace, but the gods and factions of the world couldn't get over their fears of what Dragon Albion did during the Great War or how one or two red and white dragon emperors went to the dark side. Listen whoever you are the next time you see something or someone that has a dangerous power inside them, how about you look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself this is what I'm about to do really bring out what I fear most. There was absolute silence after that, no one said a word. All everyone was the few gusts of wind that would enter the area. Though what was going on in everyone's mind was completely different, everyone was shocked by what Issei just said. Could he be right? If the gods and factions of the world could have just left the past red and white dragon emperors alone all of the carnage and destruction that they made could have been avoided. But the one who was affected the most was Naruto because he saw the look in Issei's eyes and he could tell that he was telling the truth and Naruto couldn't help but feel the understanding with Issei since he also didn't ask for this power he was born with which all it's done but just pain and misery. But it also got Naruto thinking about what Issei said about embracing the power that he was born with and that if he just learned to accept that part of himself, he could no doubt get as strong as Issei. Sasuke seeing that his rival was taking what Issei said hard and actually considering accepting who he really is, couldn't help but smirk in satisfaction since this was the result that he wanted. When he found out that the person he and his master were bringing was the Red Dragon, he decided to test to see the type of person that Issei really was in hopes he could hopefully convince Naruto to not be scared with the power that he was born with. Sasuke mind smirks hopefully now you'll see Naruto that just because you were born with a power that was considered evil doesn't mean you'll end like that. Now hurry up and accept that power so you can get stronger my rival. Sasuke smirks I guess I misjudged you, Red Dragon Emperor Issei Haidu. My name is Sasuke Uchiha and I was the one who helped carry you to Lady Asaka's palace. Issei was confused on why Sasuke did a whole 180 on him after trying to smack about him being a Long Ina sacred user as well as being the Red Dragon Emperor. That was until he looked over to Naruto who had a serious thinking expression on his face in which he finally connected the dots on what Sasuke was actually trying to do for Naruto. Issei couldn't help but smile at Sasuke since after knowing what Naruto has been through he was glad he had someone that wants to become stronger. Issei mind smirks well played, Sasuke Uchiha. Issei smirks you're not bad yourself Sasuke Uchiha and I guess I should say thanks for helping carrying me here so I can rest and heal myself. Sasuke smirks don't thank me I was just following orders. Issei smirks sure you were. Finally seeing that the tension had finally gone down, Amaterasu decided to speak up and explain what she wanted Issei to do. Amaterasu smiles well then now that all that tension is out of the way, Ice-kun. Issei curious yes, Lady Amaterasu, what is it that you want me to do? Amaterasu serious I would like you to use Yamato and duel against Ghislaine here. Everyone was a bit surprised by what the Sun Goddess had asked the Red Dragon Emperor and the personal guard of Lady Asaka. This made Issei even more curious and suspicious of what Amaterasu was trying to do, even at first glance he could tell that Ghislaine was a master swordswoman, even probably more skilled than Siegfried. If he was using either the Red Queen or DSD, then no doubt he would stand a chance, but with him only Yamato would be a different story, since he didn't have time to learn how to use a katana or use whatever abilities that the Yamato had in store for him. He then looked over Amaterasu in which her eyes told him that she wasn't taking no for an answer, seeing that there was essentially no way out of this, he summoned Yamato from his devil bringer and entered the ring. Issei sighs very well I accept. Ingvild concern are you sure about this Issei-san? There's a concern besides my king, you've only just awoken. Issei smiles I'm fine, even though I'm not at 100%, yet I can still do this at least. Islane smirks HMPH. Well, if he's up for it, then I welcome the challenge. The opportunity to fight not only the Red Dragon Emperor but also someone who wields a blade of Sparta. This is something that not even I would think would have the opportunity to take. Issei smirks. Well, then I will definitely try my best to not disappoint you. But that said, both Issei and Ghislaine entered the ring with both of their swords ready. Islane smirks. Are you ready, Red Dragon Emperor? Issei smirks. As ready as I'll ready be, Ghislaine. Amaterasu smiles. Well, if both combatants are ready, then begin. As soon as Amaterasu made that call, Ghislaine, using her immense speed, charged right at Issei. It was thanks to Issei's training with Nero, as well as his own immense speed, as well as reflexes that helped him block Ghislaine's attack. Ghislaine couldn't help but grin excitedly that was able to withstand her attack at the current speed she was going. Not even her student Sasuke has trouble withstanding her attacks with her current speed. Ghislaine grins. Not bad, you were able to withstand my first strike. Issei smirks. Well, I did say that I wasn't going to disappoint you, didn't I? Ghislaine grins. That you did. I'm glad you are a keeper of your word, Red Dragon Emperor. Issei smirks. My name is Issei Emiya, the grandson of the hero Justice Shiro Emiya, and I promise you that I won't lose this duel we are having. Everyone besides Amaterasu, Yusaka, Naruto, and Kunu were shocked from what just said that his real name is Issei Emiya, but the one who was most surprised was Leonardo, since he heard tales of the Guardian of Humanity from the heads of the hero faction. The one who mentioned him the most was his leader Cao Cao, who would tell them that it was Shiro Emiya who saved him when he was child and told him that he should use his sacred gear to protect others and be a hero. All the while Ghislaine's grin widened in excitement to think she would have the opportunity to fight such a combination of strong beings, all neatly packed inside a handsome package. This was definitely a fight she was definitely going to remember. Leonardo shocked he's Shiro's grandson. Confused, but why would the Guardian of Humanity allow himself to become a devil-dragon hybrid? Ghislaine mind grins with excitement. So he's not only the Red Dragon Emperor, but he's also the grandson of the strongest human that ever existed, as well as wielding a legendary sword of Sparta. Issei Emiya, you are definitely a treat, and I will no doubt never forget this fight for as long as I live. It was then their duel continued, with Ghislaine becoming more aggressive with her attacks, which Yusaka noticed and couldn't help but faceap him because she knew she only gets that way when she gets super excited about something. All the while to the others, Issei was holding his own at the moment, but not for long, since they could tell that Issei is not experienced in using a katana. Issei was able to parry and block most of Ghislaine's attacks, but he wasn't able to land proper attacks on Ghislaine. It was then Ghislaine performed a powerful sword thrust attack that Issei was able to block but was sent skidding back a few feet. Ghislaine grins. Please tell me this is not all you got, Issei Emiya. Sasuke serious. Issei is in a tight spot. Once Sensei gets like that, it's almost impossible to stop her until she is defeated. Even I can barely last 3 minutes fighting her in that state. Naruto serious. How long do you think he'll last? Sasuke serious, while eyes narrowed. Hard to say since I've never seen him fight before, but at this rate he has at least another minute or two before Sensei defeats him. Ingvald concern. Oh no, Ice-kun. Kunu smiles. I'm not worried. Everyone confused. Huh? Yusaka confused. What do you mean, Kunu? Kunu smiles. Because I know Ice-kun is super strong and pulls this through. Urza smiles with pride. I agree with the child there. My master has been far worse scrapes than this, and I know whatever obstacle and trouble that he is in he will overcome and dominate it. Ingvald smiles softly. That's right. Besides, Issei-kun promised to get stronger so that he could protect the people he cares about the most, and that includes us. So I believe Issei-kun will come out of this duel victorious. Almost everyone was surprised by how much faith Ingvald, Urza and even Kunu had in Issei. Sure, he was powerful and was both the Red Dragon Emperor and the grandson of the great hero of justice, but it looked like he was having trouble going up against Ghislaine. The only person who wasn't speaking was Amaterasu. Ever the fight had started, she had been watching closely on how well Issei was doing because she wanted to see if Ghislaine could prove a theory that she had when she tried holding Yamato. Amaterasu mind serious. I know Issei fighting Ghislaine will help bring out what I sensed inside the Yamato. You can do it, Ice. Issei mind serious. Damn, this isn't looking. Not only does she have the advantage of using her own sword, but I'm not entirely at 100% just yet. Then there's my huge disadvantage of using Yamato without giving time on how to properly use it. And wait, damn it. If only I knew how to use it properly. Serious, then follow my lead. Issei mind surprised. Huh? When Issei turned to where the voice was coming from, he saw the blue spectral of the mysterious man that he met when he claimed Yamato. It was then Issei noticed how the man was holding a copy of the Yamato and performing practice swings while in a stance. Realizing what the specter was trying to do, Issei decided to follow its example to the best of his abilities, which confused everyone watching since no one could see the specter besides Issei and shockingly Amaterasu. Ghislaine confused. What is he doing? Amaterasu serious. It's just as I thought. Yusaka curious. What are you talking about, Lady Amaterasu? Amaterasu serious. When I held on to the Yamato I sensed something deep inside the blade, like something alive. Isaka confused something alive. Amaterasu nods yes, I thought Issei fighting a strong opponent like Ghislaine when he's not fully recovered would make whatever is inside Yamato come out so that it would aid or save its master. Right now it seems that it has. Isaka curious how so? Amaterasu serious none of you besides me and Issei can't see it, but next to Issei is the spectral being or to be more precise, the soul of Virgil Sparta currently helping Issei learn how to use the Yamato. Isaka was shocked by this information to think the soul of the son of the legendary Dark Knight resided within his own blade and was now helping its current wielder on how to use it. But it was then their thoughts were interrupted when they saw Issei getting agitated about not being able properly to perform the moves correctly, in which his eyes started to glow blood red and in an instant he was swinging the Yamato like if he had it for his entire life. Ghislaine shocked how the hell it looks like he's a different person. Isaka confused Ghislaine is right, what has happened to Issei? Did Yamato do something to him? Urza serious it happened again. Amaterasu curious this has happened to Issei before. Ingvold nods in concern yes at least 3 times already. The first time was when he saved Urza from being held captive from the old Satan faction. The second time was when he fought off against a guardian that was protecting Yamato. Urza serious and the last time was when we thought he died and claimed the Yamato. Each time this has happened to my master, he is still the same person, but at the same time he is not as if he is sharing his body with someone else. Each time that has happened a great darkness engulfs my master to take shape for what I can only describe as a demon. As soon as Urza finished mentioning about the other times Issei acted that way, just like Urza said a darkness completely enveloped Issei, which took the form of what seemed to be an insectoid demon with blood-red eyes. Everyone was getting an eerie feeling when they saw the specter, even though it didn't radiate evil intention, but the aura around the being was completely dark nonetheless like a black void that no devil could ever comprehend. Kunu was a bit terrified at first from seeing the specter and hid behind her mother, but after staring at it for a while, she couldn't help but be in awe of its presence. Then there was Ghislaine who could her whole trembling in both fear and anxiety from what she saw, the aura that Issei was emitting was telling her to submit or fall. Her instincts were screaming at her to submit to the being in front of her, or she might live to see the end of the night. She quickly glanced down and saw she was barely had a grip on her sword which shocked Sasuke because he has never seen his sensei act like this before, but at the same time he couldn't blame her because he was surprised he could still stand while being that presence. But the one who was most shocked was Amaterasu, since she knew exactly who it was within that spectrum because she personally met that demon thousands of years ago, but couldn't figure out why Issei was emitting his aura. Amaterasu mind shocked Sparta but how? How is Issei releasing his aura? He's not a Sparta like Virgil or Dante. So how is this possible? Ghislaine mind shocked while trembling just who or what is this kid? That aura he's emitting is practically demanding me to surrender and submit. A bit aroused and it's making me kind of want to be honest. Everyone was having so many thoughts going through their heads about how Issei is able to emit such a dark and powerful aura. Just like Ghislaine the females except for Kunu were starting to feel a bit hot and aroused the power that Issei was releasing. But their lustful thoughts were interrupted when Issei spoke, but it was slightly more demonic than his original voice. Issei demonic smirks hey Ghislaine. Ghislaine surprised huh? Issei demonic smirks while pointing Yamato at her, I think this little warm-up has gone on for long enough don't you think? Hearing Issei hear those words, Ghislaine was able to shake herself out of her stupor and regain her composure, as well as a bit of her fighting spirit. Ghislaine grins yes I guess you are right about that so pointing her sword at Issei, are you finally gonna take this seriously? Issei demonic smirks I will but only on one condition gets into a stance show me your motivation. But those words Ghislaine fighting spirit soared to heights that never thought possible, no one out of all sword wielders she has fought over the centuries has made her feel this way before. It was like she was on cloud 9 or something and she didn't want it to end, it was then she decided to remove her eye patch, since if Issei was going to get serious she might as well get serious as well. When she opened her right eye, it was red in color with 3 tomos circling around the pupil. This shocked everyone who was watching, since they knew Ghislaine would only reveal that eye only when she's fighting a tough opponent or in a death match. Sasuke was the most surprised since the only time she had used that was when she was teaching him about their abilities. Sasuke shocked she's going to use her Sharingan. Isaka serious this means that Ghislaine is no longer going to hold back, she's going to give this fight all she's got. I believe Issei will return the favor in kind. Amaterasu nods yes, no doubt we will see a sword battle like no other. Sasuke mind amazed Issei Miya, you've only been here for only an hour and already you are starting to prove to be a worthy opponent for my master. Smirks makes me want to fight you as well as to see where I stand, since I also want to be the strongest. Ghislaine grins now let's see what you're really made of, Issei Miya. Issei demonic smirks now I'm a bit motivated. It was then with blinding speed both Issei and Ghislaine clashed with blades with ferocity, each time their blades made contact sparks would form. Ghislaine would use her beast aspect abilities. She fought and dodged with immense speed, but with even Ghislaine being able to predict Issei's moves, she was still on the defensive for most of the time. Ghislaine minds serious. Damn, even with me using my Sharingan, he's keeping up with me. It's like he's moving faster than what my Sharingan can keep up with. Issei demonic smirks. Giving up already Ghislaine. Ghislaine smirks. Not even on your best day. Issei demonic smirks. I see, then I better up my game then and speed things up a bit. Ghislaine confused. Huh? It was then Issei started to speed up his attacks to the point that Ghislaine could just dodge and block his attacks. Everyone was amazed with the speed and precision that Issei was going at, and to think he essentially just learned how to use his katana just minutes ago. Sasuke was amazed and impressed on how Issei was able to turn the tide of this battle with his sensei. He has never seen his teacher being caught off guard and pushed to a corner like this before. Naruto was also amazed at how well Issei was handling Ghislaine and looked like he was in control of his own darkness. This made him really think if he could also control the power deep inside of him. Kunu was staring with both awe and excitement of how cool Issei was being when fighting her anti-Ghislaine. She started cheering for Issei to win his fight with Ghislaine. Amaterasu was also amazed on well Issei doing against Ghislaine, since besides her brother Susanoo, Ghislaine was the best swordsman in the entire Shinto pantheon, and her was a boy who was the same age as Naruto and Sasuke, giving her the fight of her life. Ghislaine mind serious. Damn, are you telling me this kid was holding back this entire time? He's gotten faster to the point that not even my Sharingan can keep up with him. Issei demonic mind smirks. It's about we end this. It was then Issei performed a sword slash that sent Ghislaine back towards the other side of the ring. Ghislaine trying her best to catch her breath and think of a way to turn the tides back in her favor. Issei got into a Iaijutsu stance which everyone was confused about. What could Issei do to Ghislaine at that distance? At blinding speed Issei quickly drew and sheathed Yamato. Due Ghislaine's instincts as Tiger Yakai, she sensed she was about to be attacked and dodged out of the way. As soon as a dimensional orb of sword slashes engulfed the spot that Ghislaine was just in, which shocked since if that attack hit, then Ghislaine would have no doubt been seriously hurt. After seeing enough, Amaterasu decided to call off the match since if this keeps up then no doubt Ghislaine could be killed by accident. Amaterasu serious, that's enough. Ghislaine shocked. What? Issei demonic curious. Amaterasu serious. I've seen enough, this battle is over. Looks over to Issei. Issei, you may stand down. It was then Issei casually walked over to Ghislaine with the Yamato still in hand. Everyone was tense since Issei didn't look like he was standing down. Amaterasu, Yusaka, Naruto, and Sasuke were on guard and ready to strike if need be. When Issei finally at least a few feet away from Ghislaine he spoke. Issei demonic serious. That depend on Ghislaine. Everyone confused. Huh? Ghislaine confused on me? Issei demonic nods yes, so tell me Ghislaine, do you surrender and accept this loss or do you wish to keep on going until one of us falls? There were a few moments of silence within the room since it all depended on what Ghislaine's answer was. Ghislaine processed what Issei just told her and thinking over on how it would she couldn't help but sigh while smirking since she no choice to admit defeat since if they kept on going, she would no doubt lose to him. Ghislaine smirks. HMPH, I guess I have no choice but to accept this loss. My goodness, and you said you're not at 100% yet. No doubt if you were I would have lost within the first minute of this battle. Issei demonic smirks. HMPH, wise choice. It was then everyone breathed a sigh of relief that their fight wasn't going to continue since no doubt it would end up with Ghislaine dead. It was then Issei returned Yamato into his devil bringer and breathed to regain control over himself. Once the darkness surrounding Issei dissipated he put on a warm smile and offered his hand to Ghislaine who was on the floor. Issei smiles warmly while offering his hand. I will admit you put one heck of a fight Ghislaine-sama. Ghislaine smirks while taking his hand. No need for the sama part since I'm not one for formalities and whatnot. But I will say that you, Issei Miya, have given me probably the best fight that I ever had in my entire life and sparred against Susanoo when he's pissed off. I can only imagine on how the fight would have been if you already mastered Yamato. Chuckles remind me to never get on your bad side. Huh? Issei chuckles. Yes, I will admit out of all the swordsmen I fought so far you are probably the second best strongest person that I fought. Ghislaine curious. Oh, and may I ask who was the first? Issei smirks. My sensei, the Red Dragon Emperor before me, Nero Sparta, the grandson of the legendary Dark Knight Sparta. This shocked everyone except for Urza and Ingeveld who already knew that Issei learned his swordsmanship from the last Red Dragon Emperor, but to think the last Red Dragon Emperor was actually a descendant of Sparta. If Issei learns swordsmanship from him then no doubt Issei will eventually become the next Dark Knight and someone who no one will want to be on his bad side. Issei smirks. Plus if I used any of my other swords then the fight will no doubt would have ended just like you said. Amaterasu curious. You have other swords, Ice-kun? Issei smiles. Yup. It was then Issei summoned DSD from his devil bringer as well as the Red Queen from his pocket dimension. Everyone was shocked that Issei possessed the second sword that was wielded by the second son of Sparta. They could feel the demonic that was radiating from DSD and that it was on par with Yamato. But there was no doubt in everyone's mind, and that was Issei will not probably be the strongest Red Dragon Emperor in history, but is the next Dark Knight. Amaterasu mind nervous with the power of the Red Dragon and the power residing within those blades on top with being born with the power of the Guardian of Humanity. No doubt Issei will be on par with one of the top 10 strongest beings in existence, surpassing his grandfather. Something tells me that not even the devils realize that they have a serious powerhouse within their ranks and have definitely become someone who they should not anger unless they risk their race becoming extinct. Issei smiles while putting away DSD and Red Queen. Well then, I don't know about all of you, but I am completely starved. Sleeping for a whole day and getting into a tough battle has definitely worked up an appetite. It was then Kunu ran up to Issei, grabbing his hand and trying to drag him towards the kitchen so they could eat. Kunu smiles happily. Come with me, Issei-san. Akasan can make us her famous tofu and you can keep your promise to play with me. Issei chuckles. Easy there, Kunu, I'm coming, and besides we have to ask your mother if she can cook for us, okay? Naruto surprised Kunu. Get away from him. He still might be possessed. Kunu blinks. I'm curious, Issei, are you still possessed? Issei mind smirks. Keek. Issei fakes being possessed. Oh no, I can feel the darkness taking over me again. Kunu, you have to run for your own sake. Please forgive me. Fake roars. RAWWWR. That was when Kunu punched Issei on the knee, since she knew that Issei was faking due to her older brother, pulling the same trick time and time again growing up. This of course caused Issei to hop on one knee while holding his other knee, pouting like a child. On what Kunu did was very mean. Kunu pouts, not funny, Ice-kun. Issei pouts while rubbing his knee. Oh, but did you really have to do that, Kunu? That was very mean. Everyone couldn't help but chuckle at the scene in front of them, to think the mighty Red Dragon Emperor was being beaten by a child. It was then Kunu jumped on top Issei's back, which surprised the brown-haired boy. Issei confused. Kunu, what are you doing? Kunu puffs her cheek. Consider this your apology for trying to trick me thinking that you were possessed. Now onward, my dragon. Issei mind sweat drops. She really takes the role of spoiled princess to a whole new level. I think she acts more of a spoiled princess than even Ria's. Smiles, but she's only a kid and you can only get away from things for so long. Plus I can't resist that adorable pouting, it's just too much. Issei sighs, smiles warmly. Okay then, now then my princess, shall we head towards dining halls for a feast? Kunu smirks with pride. Yes we shall, points towards the kitchen. That my noble dragon. Issei chuckles. As you wish. Everyone couldn't help but smile fondly at how well Issei was with Kunu, which made Naruto kind of steam with jealousy a bit, since it looked like to him that Issei was stealing his spot as Kunu's older brother, which Sasuke couldn't help but snicker at his rival's antics. Though the scene of how well Issei was with children made the females think that he would no doubt will become an amazing father for when he grows and decides to settle down, but the one who was most intrigued was Yusaka, since she couldn't believe how attached her daughter became to Issei so quickly, and Issei was showing aspects of being a good father figure for Kunu. Yusaka mind curious, maybe he's the one. Scene change. Yusaka's palace, Hot Springs, 10:02 p.m. It had been about 3 hours since Issei had his fight with Ghislaine. Since then Issei was able to get to know everyone during dinner. Issei was amazed by Yusaka's cooking skills and complimented on how whoever her husband would have definitely hit the jackpot, which caused the fox woman to blush at his praise. Issei also took the moment to get to know Leonardo and how and why he even joined the Cows Brigade in the first place, in which Leonardo was willing to tell him that he was abandoned as a child and was forced to grow up on the streets. It was only due to his strong desire to not be alone that he awakened his longinus, but of course, as he did, the devils from his country came straight after him for his power. This is not confirmed to be Leonardo's origin, but we don't his official origin, so why not? It was then he met his leader Cao Cao, who held the true Longinus, which startled everyone in the room, since especially Amaterasu, since she knew that the true Longinus is the most powerful and destructive out of all the Longinus sacred gears, since even without balance breaker, has the power to kill a god. This made the sun goddess, since if the wielder of the true Longinus is in league with those who are trying to disrupt the supernatural, then not only could it spell trouble for not only her faction, but for all factions. Issei on the other hand felt bad for Leonardo, since he could tell all he ever wanted to live a normal life and have a family that he could call his own, and here is right now being forced to fight monsters and gods when he's supposed to be doing things like going to school and making friends his own age and doing kid stuff, but all of that was taken away from him just because he was born with a powerful sacred gear. This made Issei wonder if he could take Leonardo back home with him and his parents can adopt him like they did with Asia. Surely they wouldn't mind if he explained his story to them, that they wouldn't take him in and have another son. He also started to get along and vibe with both Naruto and Sasuke, despite their polar personality aspects. Issei also explained to Ingvild and Urza a bit more of his family history and why he called his last name Emiya, in which they were both amazed and shocked at the revelation. After dinner Amaterasu said that she had to leave back to Takamagahara she could rest and get ready to take her position and controlling the position of the sun over Japan, but not before giving Issei a quick peck on the forehead which confused Issei, and when he asked why Amaterasu did that she replied that consider it a blessing and that she allow Issei to pray to her whenever he needs to even though he's a devil. Currently he was in the hot springs in Yasaka's palace trying to wash away sweat from his fight with Ghislaine. Issei smiles this feels so great. Drake smiles you seem to be enjoying yourself. Issei mind smiles happily Drake you're awake. Does that mean Nero and Natsu are up too? Nero yawns yeah I'm up, damn kid you really took a lot out of us, you know. Natsu yawns I'll say, so what did we miss? Issei mind smirks quite a bit actually and you wouldn't believe who I'm actually related to which will no doubt shock you, Drake Nero. Drake Nero curious how so? It was then Issei how he was able to claim the Yamato and make Siegfried run with his tail between his legs. Afterward he was taken to Lady Yasaka's palace where he found out inside his head that he was related to Shiro Emiya and that inside him was the scabbard of the legendary sword Excalibur. He then went on how he met Amaterasu and how he had to fight Ghislaine and was able to get a good grip on how to use the Yamato. When he finished his explanation both Drake and Nero's jaws dropped to the floor since they couldn't believe that this entire time they were training the grandson that kicked their asses in their prime. Drake Nero beyond shocked what? Issei mind chuckles yeah, Grandpa Shiro told me a bit on how he took down both Nero and Albion's host at the time with no problems whatsoever. Nero annoyed hey. It's not my fault he challenged me and I thought I could take him since he was pretty old. Issei mind deadpan dude, one of the first rules in a fight especially in an anime is that you should always watch out for the old people since it can turn out he's probably secretly op as shit. That logic has been proven with you getting your ass whooped by my grandpa. Nero annoyed fuck you. Drake smirks though that is surprising that you're related to someone who would no doubt give Belzerd a challenge in his prime. No doubt if you learn how to use your grandfather's abilities then you are on your way into becoming the strongest Red Dragon Emperor past, present and future. Issei mind grins thanks Drake, your confidence is definitely getting all fired up. Drake mind thinking now that I know he's part of the Emiya and Tasaka family, I'm step closer into figuring out about these memories that I received as well as figure out why both me and Issei's memories were sealed in the first place. Drake serious hey partner. Issei mind curious ye? Drake serious I just quickly scrolled through your memories while we were out and I heard about what you said about me and Albion's previous hosts. Issei mind curious what about it? Drake smiles fondly thank you. Issei mind confused huh? What do you mean? Drake serious what you said is true a lot of my previous were born insane and power hungry like the actual bad ones that I had. A lot of them were just like you who just wanted to be left alone and live in peace, but ever since they awakened me factions of different would harass them till the ends of the earth for multiple reasons. It wasn't until it was proven too much and that's when they became hungry for power and wreaked havoc on the world. If those who pursue my hosts at the time would just had left them none of it would have happened. So I thank you for getting that point across and hopefully others, especially gods, will take the message you gave to Amaterasu to heart. Issei mind serious no problem Drake, it's I just don't want to believe everyone is born evil. At some point in their lives they must have been really good people, but whether it's society or how they grew up changed them and made them the monsters that they were known for. Not only that I want to do some actual good as the Red Dragon Emperor, so that if anything were to happen to me, your next host wouldn't have to deal with hardships that the others had to deal with. Drake was beyond shocked by what his partner just said, not only was he trying to become the next dragon god, but he was also trying to improve his reputation, so that if anything were to happen to him, that his next host can hopefully have the chance to live in peace. He had no doubt found a wonderful host and hoped he could achieve all his goals and dreams. Natsu felt the exact same way and that he was glad he made the right call to train Issei to both him and Drake. Issei was becoming the embodiment of what a true dragon should be just like their father Igneel. Drake smiles thank you partner. Issei mind smiles anytime Drake. Curious hey Nero? Nero serious what is it? Issei mind curious back in your armory, do you have books involving barriers and traps? Nero thinking I think I have a few books on those, but I can't say for sure since I wasn't much using barriers, since I mostly relied on my healing factor and natural defense, why you ask? Issei mind serious because even when we get back home, I'm still gonna need a place to train, so I thought we could use that demonic arena where we found DSD and use that as our personal training area. Drake smirks I like that idea since it is true once you finally let your new power assimilate, you're going to need a place to practice and hone your techniques. That arena would seem like the perfect to do so, we would just have to make sure that those devils from the old Satan faction aren't roaming around the area. Issei mind smiles my thoughts exactly, so my plan is when we get back to Kuo and settle back in, I'll send some clones to the armory to grab the books, while I send others to the island to make sure those devils are not hanging around. Natsu grins I like this idea, I'm in. Nero smirks same here, I'm pretty sure Dante wouldn't mind. Issei mind smiles great then it's settled, curious now for the other thing I wanted to ask you Nero. Nero curious what is it? Issei mind curious before I claimed Yamato and when I fought Ghislaine I saw a man with slick back silvery white hair and blood red eyes just like you, and I couldn't help but feel that I've seen him before. Nero was that guy your father Virgil? Nero serious yes that was him. Issei mind confused, but why would he help me? Could it have been because he sensed you inside the boosted gear? Nero serious I don't know Issei, my father was a complicated man and since he always kept a stoic expression, you could never tell what he was really thinking. Issei mind thinking while looking up to the night sky I see. Ingvald nervous Issei-san. Issei startled Ingvald. Urza smiles so you are here, master. From the entrance to the hot springs Ingvald and Urza entered with towels wrapped around them. But what shocked Issei the most was that behind them was Yusaka and Ghislaine also wearing them, which confused the brown-haired boy even more. Issei couldn't help but blush and had a small nosebleed since they were wearing towels, he could see all of their curves on top of their breasts. Yusaka smiles my ice-kun, it's funny to see you here. Ghislaine smirks yo, Issei. Issei embarrassed Lady Yusaka Ghislaine, what are you two doing here? Yusaka smiles well, isn't it obvious? We're here to take a bath, silly. Issei blushing in embarrassment I see in that case, allow me to get out of your way then. It was then Issei got up from the water, upon seeing his muscular body out on full display, made the females in the room blush an atomic red. But before poor Issei could make it to the door to get out of the situation, he was held back when he felt his hand being grabbed and when he turned around to see that it was Yusaka who had a lovely smile on her face. Yusaka smiles nonsense, you can stay here with us we don't mind at all don't we girls? Ghislaine smirks I'm not bothered by it. Urza smiles of course I don't mind. Wherever my master I will happily follow. Ingvald blushes nervously I mean if it's just Issei-san then I wouldn't mind. Yasuka giggles we don't mind you staying with us. Issei blushes nervously yes, but I've been here for a while so I don't need to be here. Yusaka smiles while pressing her breasts upon Issei's back nonsense, I think you haven't cleaned yourself properly. So how about this as my guest? How about I help wash your back for you? Issei blushes uncontrollably But before Issei could reject or respond he was already sitting on top of a stool with Yusaka putting soap on Issei's back. Poor Issei didn't know what to do and things only got more intense when he felt Yusaka's breasts rubbing on his back. Yasuka smiles you certainly have a strong back Issei-kun. Ghislaine smirks while poking at his abs I'll say I can definitely tell you put in a lot of work into your body, your skin feels as strong as steel. But I expect nothing less from a heavenly dragon. Issei blushes nervously thank you both, your praise means a lot to me. While Yusaka and Ghislaine were getting a feel for Issei's body, Ingvald couldn't help but pout with jealousy while Urza was studying closely on what these women were to their master. Ingvald pouts with jealousy no fair, I should be the one helping wash Issei-sen's back. Urza smirks this is very educational just watching these women I can use to make sure I'm the perfect member for master's harem. Issei mind sweat drops as Urza seriously taking notes about this. Yusaka smiles seductively hey ice kun. Issei blushes nervously yes. Yusaka smiles seductively you know, ever since you arrived here, my daughter has gotten fairly attached to you and the way you treat her it's almost like that of father. Issei blushes nervously really now I haven't noticed. Yusaka smiles seductively I like you Issei-kun, you seem to be the kind of man that is kind, caring, and dependable. Even though Kunu has Naruto, she could really use a father figure in her life and I think you're it. So what do you say Ice? Will you be my Kunu's father? We can even consummate it if you want. I'm pretty sure Kunu and Naruto would love to have a little brother or sister running around, don't you think? Issei was blushing up a storm, did he hear Yusaka right? Did she just say wanted to sleep with him and be a father figure for Kunu? Now Issei didn't mind being some sort of role model for Kunu after hearing Kunu and Yusaka's story from Amaterasu, but actually marrying and sleeping with Yusaka to be Kunu's actual father. Now Issei would admit that Yusaka is a bombshell of a woman and whoever was the guy that ditched her before she got pregnant was honestly a fucking idiot because I think a lot of guys would kill to be able to have the chance to sleep with her and his dragon instincts were telling him to go ahead and claim both her and Ghislaine for himself. But Issei didn't want to do that for multiple reasons, with one of them being that this was happening way too fast, but there was also how Naruto would take this, since despite the short time he knew the red hair fox Yakai, as well as hearing his own tragic story, he didn't want to look like he was some random barging into his life and was casually sleeping with a woman he has seen as a mother. Then there was the most important reason, and that was the warning that Esdeath gave him before she left about sleeping with other girls. Issei, mind panicking crap. Guys, what should I do? I'm literally taking any suggestions at this point. Gray grins while pretending to yawn. I don't know about you, but I think I could use some more shut-eye before I'm at 100%. Issei mind scared eh? Natsu grins while yawning. Yeah, I think I could use some shut-eye as well, good luck Issei. Issei mind petrified. Nero, please don't leave me. Nero smirks. Consider this as training for your perversion, kid, good luck. Or slammed. But that Greg, Natsu, and Nero shut themselves out from Issei's connection. Issei tried desperately to get them to come back to help him get out of the situation, but no response. Issei mind knocking desperately. Guys. Come on, I need your help. Break Natsu. Nero. Issei mind knocking desperately. Come on, we're supposed to be in this together. Guys. Break Natsu. Nero. Issei mind annoyed traitors. But before Issei could continue on with his mental rant, he felt Yasaka's hand sliding down his chest and heading towards below the waist where his manhood resides. Issei panics. Lady Yasaka, what are you doing? Yasaka smiles seductively. I'm just curious what other surprises that you have hidden, Ice Kun. Ghislaine smirks. Well, a bit pink. I'm also curious about what you have developed down there. Issei panics. Not you too, Ghislaine. Ingvald panics. No. Yasuka. Ghislaine surprised. Huh? Issei mind cries tears of joy. Thank you Ingvald, I knew that you would be the one to save me. Ingvald blushes nervously. You can't do that because if anyone is gonna do that with Ice it's going to be me. Issei mind cries tears of sorrow. Damn it. Yasaka smirks. Oh, so you also want to sleep with Issei-kun? Well, I think it's best to let someone with experience go first since you obviously have no experience to help satisfy Ice here. But if you want you can watch and take notes so that when it's your turn you can have a good idea on what to do. Ingvald blushes madly. Urza smirks with interest. Oh, this will indeed be intriguing and will no doubt help me become the perfect member of Master's harem. I'll go next. Ghislaine serious. No way, I call dibs next. Issei mind cries tears of sorrow. Damn it Urza, can't you see that your master is in trouble? If you weren't so innocent and naive, I would bitch at you like there is no tomorrow. Then there's Ghislaine. Like hell, why the hell is jumping on this train? Sweat drops. Why the fuck do I feel like I'm going to end up meeting girls like those two down the line? Yasaka smiles seductively. Well Ice, are you ready to have the best night of your life? Issei panics. Wait Lady Yasaka, can't we talk about this? Like this seems to be going a little bit too fast, don't you think? We should at least get the chance to know each other better before doing something rash. Yasaka smiles seductively. I couldn't agree more, so how about we get to know each other more? Intimately. Issei mind panics. Crap. She's practically running on pure instincts at this point. Since she probably hasn't had hex since before Kunu was born, she must have had years of pent-up stress. Pales by the Mayu, I'm dealing with a hex-depraved MILF. Damn it, there has to be a way to get out of this situation. Eyes widen in realization. I got it. Issei panics. Stop time. As soon as Issei said that, everything and everyone around seemed to have stopped in time, which was a huge sigh of relief since almost forgot he had the power to stop or slow down time. Seeing that he was in the clear for the moment, he quickly got up and left the hot springs and changed into the sleepwear that Yasaka gave him and headed towards the halls back to his room. Just when he turned into the hall he ran into Naruto, Sasuke, and Leonardo and Yukatas heading towards the hot springs. Issei curious. What are you guys doing here? Naruto smirks. Me and Sasuke just finished our usual sparring and decided to head towards the hot springs to clean ourselves off. Sasuke serious. Leonardo tagged along since he was curious on how we fight and asked for a few pointers. Issei pouts. Aw man, I totally wish I was there. I would have loved to join you guys and maybe spar with you too. Naruto smiles. Well, me and Sasuke usually have an early morning sparring session before breakfast along with some training. If you want you can join us then. Issei smiles with excitement. You bet I would. Besides, I still need to learn how to use Yamato to its fullest still. Sasuke smirks. That sounds great and I would love to spar against you since after watching defeat Ghislaine sensei, it made me want to test my swordsmanship against you. Issei grins while holding his fist out. Sounds perfect since I don't think the knight in my master's peerage is nowhere at your level, so sparring with you will no doubt help both of us improve and become the strongest. Sasuke smirks while fist bumping Issei. I couldn't say it better myself, make sure you bring your A game Issei Amiya. Issei smirks. Trust me, my A game is the only game I bring. Naruto curious. Oh Issei, did you just finish bathing? Issei pales. Huh, sweat drops. Yeah, and if I were you three I would wait a couple minutes before going in there. Naruto confused. Why? Issei sighs. This is why. Snaps. Isaka confused. Huh Issei, where are you? Ghislaine confused. Where the hell did he go? Urza confused. That's weird, master was just here a second ago. Ingvald panics. Oh no, we scared him off. Naruto, Sasuke, and Leonardo couldn't help but sweat drop at what they were hearing and kind of understood why Issei said that they wait a few minutes before going in. But Naruto couldn't help but ask Issei one burning question that he had on his mind. Naruto smiles while having a tick mark. Issei, please don't tell me you actually. Issei deadpan. No, don't get me wrong, Naruto Lady Asaka is a beautiful woman and all, but the last thing I want to do is rush things with her as well as get on your bad side. Naruto annoyed. I see, wise choice. Leonardo stoic. It's not easy being the Red Dragon Emperor, isn't it? Issei sighs. No, it is not, Leonardo, and I hope you don't have to deal with this when you grow up, because trust me, sometimes it becomes too much. Trust me, if I could pass on this curse to someone else I would do so in a heartbeat. Smiles and waves. Welp, I'm heading to bed, see you guys in the morning. As Issei left to head towards his room to get some sleep, Naruto noticed how Sasuke was snickering and decided to ask his rival on what was funny. Naruto annoyed. What's so funny, Sasuke? Sasuke snickers. It's nothing, it's just you were so close that you would have to start calling Issei Dad. Naruto annoyed. So not funny. Sasuke snickers. You're right, it's hilarious. While Naruto and Sasuke were bantering, Leonardo could only watch as this unfold and couldn't help but compare them to siblings fighting as usual. Leonardo mind curious, maybe supernatural beings are just as human as we are. And let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.